LoveLore Library. Chapter 227. I don't care how much those things cost. It has nothing to do with me. Miss Hua, please leave. Don't come here to look for me in the future. I don't want you to affect my work. Hua Min asked her to leave. Shit, you idiot. Hui Yanyan was so angry that she cursed. Hui Yanyan, you're a socialite. Please mind your image. Hua Min, don't be so shameless. My dad just took pity on you. He saw that you were so poor and had a younger brother who was a burden to take care of. I heard that in order to pay for his education, you had a lot of part-time jobs. When you were in school, you even worked part-time at a KFC. Also, that weird mother of yours, when she failed to force my dad to abdicate, she had an affair with my dad's chauffeur. After that, the two of them had a child. When she couldn't make a living, she wanted to blackmail my dad. She didn't succeed, so she spread rumors that my dad was a heartless man. You're so poor, but you still want to pretend to be rich. I heard that you drive a Volkswagen CC, right? Did you buy it with a loan or a second-hand car? Or are you being kept by some man? Hui Yanyan was the vicious type. She was extremely snobbish and looked down on the poor. Previously, when they were in school, it was said that there was a classmate who liked her very much. However, because the boy's family background was ordinary and his parents were both civil servants, she used all kinds of sarcastic means to mock him. In the end, the boy couldn't take it anymore and jumped from the 3rd floor of the school, breaking his leg. What kind of character was she? Are you done farting? If you're done, get lost. I'm afraid I'll throw up if I look at you for another minute. What did you say? Hui Yanyan was obviously shocked. People like you have a good family background and a rich life. You should cherish it. Otherwise, if you continue to squander like this, you'll end up in a sorry state one day. Don't be so mean, or you'll be punished by the heavens, Hua Min said calmly. Who are you talking about? Hua Min, you're just jealous of me. You're jealous that I'm the daughter of the Hua family and you're just a lowly nurse. Miss Hua, are you suffering from delusional disorder? Where did your sense of superiority come from? Why would I be jealous of you? Do you look like Zhang Manyu or Lin Qingxia? Is your husband Liang Chaowei or Li Zikai? Of the three of you, other than your mother who still has a brain, I think you and your brother are simply retarded. I suggest you eat more walnuts when you have nothing to do. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at by others for showing off your IQ? Also, for people like you to be able to survive until now, I have to say, Hua Xiqian is really soft-hearted. After speaking, Hua Min turned around and left. Hua Min, come back here. Who the hell are you calling brainless? Hui Yanyan was furious. However, Hua Min didn't give her any chance to fight back. She had wanted to make a scene at the hospital, but she was afraid that the media would make groundless accusations, which would leave a bad impression on her. On the way back, Hui Yanyan was fuming inside the sports car. She didn't even discuss it with her mother when she got home. Instead, she made a bold decision. She made a phone call to a reporter that she was quite close to. That night, at 8:00 p.m., the reporter announced that she was Hua Min's illegitimate daughter on Weibo. The reporter described her and her mother as an ugly mother and daughter who were completely greedy for the Hua family's wealth. They didn't even care about their own father when he was sick and only thought about how to get money. At the same time, some people even suspected that Hua Min was able to avoid the scandal because of her identity as the illegitimate daughter of the Hua family. The report also claimed that Hua Min and Hua Xiqian were quite close, so Hua Xiqian might have been the one who settled the scandal. It was an exaggeration, but many people believed it. After Hui Yanyan had enough fun at the nightclub that night, Shen Jiani asked with a grim expression on her face, Yanyan, were you the one who exposed Hua Min's identity? Chapter 228. Yeah, what do you think? I did a great job, right? That bitch didn't want to help us, but that's good, I'll make her infamous. Once our relationship is made public, she'll have no choice but to admit her relationship with my dad. It's only a matter of time before she comes back and inherits the shares. Silly, why don't you think about what would happen if she sided with Huasichin? That's easy, we can get someone to run her over and kill her. Before she dies, we can find a lawyer and ask her to give us the shares, Hui Yanyan said casually, reeking of alcohol. Silly, you're still too young and don't use your brain. Shinjiani was furious, but she didn't want to slap Hui Yanyan. Inside the VIP room at Southside Recuperation Center, Suyu looked at the hot topics on Weibo and smiled. Was she the illegitimate daughter of the Huo family? That was a fun identity. However, Suyu felt like Huamin's secret was more than that. Huamin was working the night shift, so she was still at work when the incident happened. Lingling, Jixin, Huang Yu, and the head nurse of the first hospital called to ask about her. Huamin went on to Weibo and read the news. She couldn't imagine how stupid Hui Yanyan was. Even if she wanted to mess with her, she shouldn't have done something so brainless. It seemed like she had angered her during the day, and now she wanted to force her to admit her relationship with Hu Jinghai. She didn't admit it back then, but now she was forcing her to admit it. The Huo family was truly despicable and shameless. Girl, are you okay? Zhu Lingling was worried and sent her a WeChat message. I'm fine. Who did this? They're so evil. It was Hui Yanyan. That bitch, I think I should go with you to stop her and beat her up to vent your anger. I've been pissed at her for a long time. It's okay, I won't do that. It's not good for her to mess with me like this. Let's wait and see, she'll regret it. Compared to other people's worries, Huamin himself appeared to be very nervous. While he was chatting with Huamin, Qin Chu called. Hello. Are you okay? It was obvious that Qin Chu was very worried. You also saw Weibo. Huamin smiled bitterly. She really didn't want to cause trouble because Qin Chu always helped her deal with the aftermath. But he was always in trouble. Yes, I've already arranged for someone to suppress this matter. I'll also defend you in terms of public opinion. Don't worry. I'm fine. Are you working the night shift tonight? Yes. I'll go with you. It's okay. Southside doesn't allow family members to come here. It's very strict. You don't have to come over. Just wait for me at home. I'll go back tomorrow morning and buy you breakfast. What do you want to eat? Huamin chuckled. At a time like this, Huamin was still able to talk about breakfast so casually. She had to admit that Huamin was very smart and calm. I'll make breakfast and wait for you at home tomorrow morning. That's all. With that, Qin Chu hung up the phone. That night, while Huamin was on duty, she was preparing some backup information. She knew that Suyu must have done it on purpose. There were always women in his room, and there were endless bodyguards outside. What emergency could there be? Therefore, she dawdled for a few minutes before going over. What's wrong? She walked in, leaned against the door, and asked nonchalantly. I want to drink water. Pour me a glass. Don't you have hands? Please, you broke your leg, not your hands, Huamin retorted. You're very aggressive. What's wrong? Did you suddenly become the illegitimate daughter of a rich family? Did your temper grow because of the Huo family? Suyu asked. Upon hearing Suyu's words, Huamin's eyes changed slightly. Then, she turned around and answered as she poured herself a glass of water, wrong. For the past 24 years, the Huo family has never acknowledged me. My temper is just as bad. It has nothing to do with who I'm basking in. With that, Huamin handed her the glass of water, then, she turned around and left. Huamin. What is it? Huamin turned around. If you beg me, I can take care of this for you within a minute. Suyu held the glass of water and looked at Huamin arrogantly. She wasn't bragging. If Suyu were to help, it would probably be done in minutes. Thank you. If you drink less water, pee less, and don't torture me, the nurse on duty, a few more times, I'll be immensely grateful. With that, Huamin walked out of the room. As expected, no matter how big of a problem she was in, she would never ask for help. Suyu quite liked her arrogant personality, but he was also angry that she wouldn't beg him. Women should be gentle when they needed to be, and give in when they needed to. When Huamin returned to the on-call desk, her phone kept ringing. When she picked up, the first thing Jixin asked was, "Sis, are you planning to go back to the Hua family?" Chapter 229. Where did you hear that? I didn't hear it from anyone, I just saw it on the news. No one has come looking for you for so many years, but now you've made such a big deal out of it. That family is so prideful, they'll probably come looking for you under the pressure of the media. Jixin, do you want me to go back? Hearing his sister's question, Jixin was silent for a while before he said sadly, "To be honest, I don't want you to go back, but if you want to go back, I won't stop you. I'll also help you convince Mom. I still stand by what I said, I will always respect your decision. You little brat, don't make yourself sound so high and mighty, and don't think of me as a snob. Why would I go back? This is giving me enough headaches. Everyone in the Hua family is a scheming bitch. I'm dog-tired from work, and I still have to fight them with my wits and courage. Don't add to my troubles." Hearing the hidden meaning in his sister's words, Jixin immediately asked worriedly, "Sis, what's going on? Can I help you?" "It's okay, just go to school and be a good boy. Mom and I don't have to worry about you." "I know." "Okay, then I'll get changed and get off work. Talk to you later." "Okay." Jixin obediently hung up. This little brother of hers was actually a nice guy. He was always the first one to stand up for her when she was in trouble. Although he was still a child and couldn't help her much, the words he said always made Huamin feel very comfortable. Sometimes, she even thought that all these years of doting on Jixin weren't in vain. Their relationship was indescribable. They were even closer than those with the same father and mother. She hoped that Jixin would grow up quickly and that one day, she would be able to see him get married and have children. That scene would definitely be touching. However, she also hoped that time would slow down. Once Jixin stepped into society, he would have to bear a lot of social and family responsibilities. When that time came, he would definitely not be as innocent as he was now, because the incident happened so suddenly. Huamin felt that it was necessary to deal with it. Therefore, he changed his clothes and informed the head nurse that he was off work. Suyu didn't know that there was a change of night shift. At 10 p.m., he rang the bell for water. However, it was another nurse. Her face immediately darkened. "Isn't Huamin on duty today?" "Young Master Su." Huamin went home. Something happened at home. The nurse was so scared that she didn't even dare to speak loudly. "Get lost." Waving his hand, Suyuk sent the nurse away. He couldn't sleep, so he turned on his phone to read the news. After the identity of Huamin's illegitimate daughter was exposed, there was a lot of negative news. Someone opened a smurf account on a local forum and questioned Huamin's background. Could it be that Huamin had used this kind of power in the previous dispute between doctors and patients, causing the public to be unable to see the truth? When one person spoke out, there would naturally be others who would follow suit, causing the situation to get worse and worse. At the first hospital, the department's media went to surround them, but no one stood up to respond. Southside was also packed with people, but Huamin didn't seem to have any intention of responding to this matter. Su Yu really wanted to see how Huamin would deal with this matter this time. Would he go back to the Huo family and rightfully inherit part of the Huo family's fortune, or would he continue to be arrogant and maintain his own style? When Huamin got off work, Qin Chu wasn't home yet. He seemed to be very busy these days. Huamin wasn't in the mood for dinner, so she took a quick shower and crawled into bed. She was too lazy to read the news, nor did she want to. However, Lingling couldn't hold it in and called her to ask about the situation. She gave her a brief explanation. As soon as she hung up the phone with Lingling, she saw a familiar number calling her. Hello. Huamin picked up the phone. Little sister Mian, who's so ruthless this time? They're forcing you to come back. What about you? Have you thought about how to deal with this? Do you need your big brother to help you? Hua Xiqian's tone was still frivolous. Chapter 230. No need. Faced with Hua Xiqian's offer to help, Huamin immediately rejected it. Don't be so stubborn. If you don't control the situation and let it develop, you'll be the one who gets hurt the most. It won't affect the Liang siblings at all. Plus, I think that even if you don't respond, they won't stop if they don't get what they want. They'll continue to put up a smokescreen to force you. Instead of being passive, why don't we take the initiative? We can work together and kick them out anytime. Mr. Hua isn't dead yet. Don't be so sure, Huamin reminded her coldly. I know, this has nothing to do with Dad. He won't directly interfere with this yet. He'll just sit on the sidelines and watch the tigers fight. But I'm guessing that Xinjiani didn't come up with such a brainless plan. It was most likely Hui Yanyan's doing. Huamin fell silent. She thought so too. When she thought about the unpleasant conversation she had with Hui Yanyan at the hospital during the day, she was the biggest suspect. Not only would publicizing these scandals bring inconvenience to Huamin's life, but it would also use the power of public opinion to force Huamin to make a choice. She could either return to the Huo family and acknowledge their relationship, or she could leave the Huo family forever and never return. Originally, she could choose directly, but at this juncture, Hua Zhenghai was sick. If she heartlessly cut ties with him, people would say that she was an ingrate who didn't even care about her own father. Huamin knew that this was a trap. No matter how she walked, it wouldn't be easy. Not to mention, she was too weak. Compared to Hui Yanyan and the others, she didn't have any connections or resources. Unless she needed Qin Chu to help her. But she really didn't want Qin Chu to help her. She thought that she was strong enough and couldn't live under Qin Chu's protection forever. Hui Yanyan's actions won't do her any good either. I'm not that weak, and I won't give in easily. It's still too early for her to defeat me so easily. But how can we exchange blows? Not bad, your courage is commendable. You can't be compared to Hui Yanyan. Even if we were to weigh your IQ, you're still 3 kilograms higher than her. However, I'm afraid this incident will bring you quite a bit of trouble. You'll be living in the eye of the storm just like last time. You're obviously not a public figure, but you'll be treated like one and cursed by the media and netizens. This is unfair to you. Hua Xiqian actually felt sorry for Huamin. She hadn't had a good life all these years. He had always wanted to help her, but she had always rejected him. Huamin laughed. Fair. How funny was young Master Hua's words. There's no such thing as fairness in this world. Hui Yanyan is also an illegitimate daughter of the Huo family, just like me. She was born from a mistress, but she can enjoy everything with a clear conscience. I, on the other hand, have nothing all these years, and I have to be ridiculed and cursed. So, how can there be fairness? If that's the case, then you should take revenge on them. These people are only going to suffer the consequences of their actions. I won't take revenge on them, but I will definitely teach Hui Yanyan a lesson. But I won't work with you. I still stand by what I said. I won't participate in your civil war. Don't even think about trying to rope me in. I haven't said anything yet, you don't have to be so nervous, haha. Hua Xiqian laughed. He laughed at how cute Hua Min could be when she was being silly. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Mian. His voice was abnormally gentle. Hua Min listened in silence. Mian, if you can't take it anymore, just come and find me. I will definitely help you. Don't count on Qin Chu. Don't place your hopes on a man who once abandoned you, understand? Hua Min hung up the phone with a bang. No wonder Qin Chu called him a pervert. It seemed like he was seriously ill. She really wanted to correct him. Qin Chu never abandoned her. 7 years ago, she was the one who let him go first. 7 years later, Qin Chu was the one who took the initiative to pursue this relationship. Qin Chu didn't owe her anything. It was just that there were too many obstacles between them, so it hadn't come to fruition yet. Late at night, Qin Chu came back from overtime. When he entered the bedroom, Hua Min was already asleep. Qin Chu stared at her clean face. Finally, he lowered his head and gently kissed her forehead. Hua Min rolled over and tightly wrapped her arms around Qin Chu's neck. Chapter 231. Qin Chu was slightly startled. He thought that she had woken up, but she didn't move for a long time. When he lowered his head to observe her, he realized that she was still in a state of deep sleep. Qin Chu sighed slightly. Just how magnanimous was his wife? So much had happened outside. She was still able to sleep peacefully. Her mental fortitude wasn't ordinary. In the end, Qin Chu lay down next to Hua Min and hugged her tightly as if he was hugging a rare treasure. He couldn't bear to let go of her for even a moment. Don't worry. No one can hurt you. Qin Chu's voice was gentle and hoarse. It was doting and infatuated. In her sleep, Hua Min seemed to have telepathy. She buried her head in Qin Chu's chest and snuggled closer. Qin Chu raised his hand and stroked her slightly messy long hair. His movements were very gentle, afraid that he would wake her up. The next morning, Qin Chu left early because he had to drive out for an inspection. When Hua Min woke up, all she saw was a delicious breakfast, but Qin Chu was nowhere to be seen. Sometimes she thought that the two of them living together like this was just like roommates. Sometimes they wouldn't see each other for a few days. They would leave early and return late. Where was the sweetness of a newlywed couple? With that thought in mind, Hua Min took a sip of milk, picked up her phone, and sent Qin Chu a WeChat message. Your whereabouts have been strange recently. Don't tell me you're having an affair. Do you have a mistress? Just as she put down her phone, she heard a ding. It seemed that Qin Chu replied instantly. If I did, what would you do? Would you be angry? Qin Chu asked back. Because they were communicating via text, she couldn't tell if he was joking or half serious. Hua Min laughed and replied jokingly, as long as I'm alive, they can only be concubines forever. After a while, Qin Chu replied, I thought you'd ask for a divorce to fulfill my wish. You want to do that? Hua Min asked tentatively. No, I won't divorce you. Even if you don't love me one day, I won't divorce you. There's only one person I'm obsessed with in my life, and that person is Hua Min. Hua Min was originally joking when he sent the message, but when he suddenly saw Qin Chu's affectionate words, he was suddenly at a loss. She felt her heart beating wildly, just like the feeling of being confessed to for the first time when she was a young girl. Her cheeks were burning. Ha, I'm just joking. How could that be? You've invested so much in me. It would be a loss if we got divorced. Oh right, you seem to be very busy recently. Have you had breakfast? Don't just worry about me, you have to take care of yourself. Huamin changed the topic. Recently, there's a case that's quite complicated. I have to go to the scene every day and come back for a meeting. Okay, it's time for me to go to work. After ending the conversation with Chin Chu on WeChat, Huamin drove out. There seemed to be a lot of reporters at the entrance of the hospital, so she carefully avoided them. Inside the on-call room, a few young nurses gathered around. Because Tingting had known Huamin for a long time, she curiously asked, Huamin, is what the media is saying true? Are you really Hu Xinghai's illegitimate daughter? Oh my god, then you're the daughter of a rich family. Chapter 232. Huamin bit her lips and smiled awkwardly. She did not admit or deny it. Then you're Hua Xichin's sister. Oh my god, you're lucky. Do you have his contact number? Do you have his WeChat? Give it to me. A few nurses came over and argued. Huamin was helpless. Sorry, I don't have it. I don't contact him. Huamin, if you're really a member of the Hua family, why are you a nurse? The Huas are so rich. You should be a socialite like Hui Yanyan. Women were always gossipy. Huamin did not seem to want to answer. Just then, the head nurse, Song Lin, walked over. Don't you have to work? Head nurse. The nurses were so scared that they retreated to the side. Go back to your posts. It's working hours. Song Lin showed her courage and scared the nurses away with a few words. Then, she glanced at Huamin and asked softly, Are you okay? I'm fine, head nurse. If you need to take time off, just tell me. No, I'm fine. Alright, I'm relieved to see that you're doing okay. As for young Master Su, he's not doing very well. He doesn't like other nurses. He hasn't taken any medicine or done any 4 drips for the past few days. He even cancelled his follow-up checkup. I'm thinking that if you were to go, the results might be different. You're the only nurse who has successfully injected him. So you're saying that you want me to take care of him? Huamin was a little conflicted. I'm just telling you. If you don't want to, then forget it. Song Lin was a smart person. Naturally, she would not be too stubborn. However, after hearing what she said, Huamin felt a little embarrassed. Then I'll give it a try. I'll try my best to complete the mission. After speaking, Huamin buttoned up her lab coat and walked over to room 1 with the medicine. When the bodyguards saw Huamin, they were secretly delighted because they realized that only this nurse could deal with their young master. When Huamin pushed open the door and entered, Suyu was reading the newspaper. He looked quite serious. Get out. Without even looking at her, Suyu thought she was one of those women who wanted to climb up the social ladder. Huamin didn't say anything. He walked over, twisted open the medicine bottle, and took out a few pills. There's a saying that it takes 100 days for bones and tendons to heal. Although your ligament strain isn't a big deal, you can't underestimate it. You have to do a follow-up checkup and take medicine. Hearing Huamin's voice, Suyu raised his head, a faint joy in his eyes. You still have the time to care about me. Have you dealt with your own matters? Suyu deliberately asked with a straight face. So, is it really okay for a man to be so gossipy? Huamin asked as he stared at Suyu with his arms crossed. What kind of gossip is this? Didn't the news cause a sensation in the city? How are you going to deal with it? How I deal with it is my own business, you don't have to worry about it. Hurry up and take your medicine. I still have to play chess with the old man next door. Everyone is busy, don't waste time. Huamin urged impatiently. So you didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He really wanted to ask, what kind of charm did the old man next door have to make her ignore him? Chess. I know how to play too. Why don't we play a game? No. Huamin rejected him directly. Why? Su Yu refused to accept it. Because if I look at your face for too long, I'll get depression. With that, Huamin turned around and left. You. Su Yu wanted to say something, but before he could say anything, Su Yu stopped him. Huamin turned around and said, "Don't stop taking your medicine." Then, he slammed the door shut. Su Yu glanced at the medicine on the tray and the warm water Huamin brought over. He frowned slightly, but in the end, he still picked it up and drank it. This woman always had this kind of magical courage that made him obediently follow her wishes. Even if she only cared about him at work and didn't care about him, she was still much better than those hypocritical women who approached him with ulterior motives. Also, he really wanted to know how Huamin was going to deal with this illegitimate daughter storm. Huamin didn't go home after work. Instead, he went straight to the first hospital. Inside the VIP room, Hua Zhenghai didn't seem surprised to see Huamin walk in. "You're here." He looked at Huamin with a complicated expression. Chapter 233. "Mr. Hua, there's something I want to talk to you about in private," Huamin said meaningfully as he glanced at Hua Si beside him. Hua Si didn't think much of it and sneered, "If you have something to say, just say it. I'm not an outsider, I'm my dad's son. I'm not an outsider like you." Huamin only looked at him coldly and retorted, "You make it sound like you're not the son of a mistress." "What did you say?" Hua Si was just like Hui Yanyan. He wasn't calm at all and was extremely arrogant. He was used to throwing his weight around. As soon as he heard what Huamin said, he immediately exploded. Fortunately, Hua Zhenghai raised his head and suppressed his anger. "Si, leave us for a second." "Dad." Hua Si was obviously unwilling. "Go out, I have something to say to her as well." Hua Zhenghai's expression was serious. Hua Si glared at Huamin and left the room unwillingly. Hua Zhenghai glanced at Huamin and asked, "You came here because you thought I was the one who leaked the news, right?" Huamin shook his head, "No, I know Hui Yanyan did it. It has nothing to do with you. I just came here because I have something to say. Your mother came by this morning and I could tell that she was very agitated. She thought I was the one who did it and that I wanted to force you to come back. She yelled at me like a dog. She hasn't changed at all, she's still as bad-tempered as ever." Hua Zhenghai calmly explained the situation. His calmness was very suitable for his age and status. After all, he was a businessman who had seen a lot. "I'm not sure about my mom, she didn't call me. I came here today to express my personal opinion." "What are you trying to say?" "What I want to say is, instead of putting your hopes on me and asking me to help them, why don't you teach them how to protect themselves? From what I see, Hui Yanyan and Hua Si are so stupid that it's only a matter of time before they die in the hands of Hua Siqian. If it weren't for you, they would have been kicked out a long time ago. On the surface, what Hui Yanyan did doesn't benefit me because everyone is talking about how my mom didn't sacrifice my scandal in order to get closer to the Hua family. However, this doesn't affect anything. On the contrary, I can use this opportunity to come back to the Hua family, but I might not be the best assistant. Do you think I would be stupid enough to help them after what they did to me? Also, if people dig into this matter, then Hui Yanyan's mother, Mrs. Shen, will be exposed for interfering in your marriage with Mrs. Hua. Only Hui Yanyan would do something like this that harms both herself and others. I'm worried about her intelligence, so I advise you to keep her in check. Otherwise, she might end up in a terrible state." Every word Huamin said was like a knife to the heart, making Hua Xinghai's heart race. There were pros and cons in this matter. Huamin was a commoner to begin with, so even if she was insulted and blamed, it would still be the same. However, Hui Yanyan was different. If her scandal was exposed, she would go from being a genius to being the daughter of a mistress. Moreover, Hui Yanyan wasn't married yet, so this matter might directly affect her marriage in the future. After hearing this, Hu Zhenghai fell into deep thought. After a while, he looked up at Huamin and asked, "Even if I beg you, you won't come back and help me? Even if it's just to help me? What do you think?" Huamin sneered and asked back. Chapter 234. What if we make a deal? Don't worry, I won't let you help me for free. I can send you a lawyer's letter, and I'll really give you the shares. You just have to agree to stand on Yan Yan and C's side. Those shares are worth at least a few $100 million. Hu Zhenghai didn't believe that Huamin was smart enough to not want his inheritance. Huamin smiled. "I'm sorry, Mr. Hua, I lack everything except money. To me, the few $100 million in shares you're talking about isn't as good as the 20 years of fatherly love you gave me." Hu Zhenghai was a bit ashamed. Fatherly love. He didn't have that. He only liked Hui Yanyan and Hu Si. He just couldn't like Huamin, even though he knew that she was smart and shrewd. "Don't worry about it, I was just joking. Uncle Jing is very good to me, just like my father. I don't need that." "Okay, that's all I have to say. This is just a piece of advice, it's up to you whether you want to take it or not. There's one more thing I have to tell you." "What is it?" Hu Zhenghai looked at Huamin in confusion. "Your mistress and daughter are so aggressive, I think it's time for me to fight back." After speaking, Huamin smiled confidently and turned to leave. Huamin was calm and composed, and his words were very logical. Hu Zhenghai suddenly felt emotional. If only Hui Yanyan had half of Huamin's intelligence, she wouldn't be in this situation where he had to worry about her all the time. Unfortunately. What a sin. At night, Huamin stayed at home, watching cartoons and eating potato chips. It was as peaceful as any other day. Qin Chu was still working overtime and hadn't come home yet. Just then, his phone rang. It was Ning Ziyuan again. After ringing for a long time, Huamin finally picked it up. "What is it?" She thought that he wanted to emphasize that he and Wu Xiaoxue were getting married. He was really persistent. Unexpectedly, Ning Ziyuan asked about something else. "Mian, are you really Hu Zhenghai's daughter?" Huamin immediately knew what Ning Ziyuan meant. He smiled wickedly and replied, "Yeah, I even went to the hospital to look for him today. He even said that he wanted to give me some shares. I was thinking, what's the point of having so much money? I can't even spend it all. Why didn't you tell me about this before?" Ning Ziyuan sounded like he was complaining. "You didn't ask me, did you?" Huamin was amused. "I really feel that we missed a lot. Wu Xiaoxue and I are not what you think. I don't love her." Ning Ziyuan suddenly said. Huamin nodded. "That's right. Maybe you just want to have a child with her. This isn't love." Such blatant sarcasm left Ning Ziyuan speechless. He said, "Mian, are you still mad at me?" Huamin was just about to say something when he heard the sound of the key opening the door. He immediately hung up. As expected, Qin Chu came back. "Why are you sneaking around?" Qin Chu was a little nervous when he saw Huamin. Nothing." Huamin was a little guilty. "I think I heard you talking on the phone. Was it that sick-looking ophthalmologist? Are you Detective Conan?" Huamin wanted to cry. How could he guess that? Was he even human? So, you did something so shameful. Are you going to apologize or what? Chin Chu took off his jacket, straightened his tie, and asked in all seriousness. Huamin immediately lowered his head, thinking about how to deal with it. What do you want to eat tonight? I'll make it right away. Huamin wanted to be on his best behavior, so he turned his attention to dinner. Steamed Huamin. Chin Chu sat down next to Huamin on the sofa and said nonchalantly. Chin Chu. Stop messing around. Huamin pouted and looked at his handsome profile. If steaming it is too troublesome, you can just dip it in wasabi and eat it like salmon. Honey, don't do that. Huamin finally decided to deal with Chin Chu. On the 107th day of their marriage, at 7:25 p.m., Huamin called Chin Chu, honey, for the first time. As expected, Chin Chu's expression changed slightly. Even his eyes darkened. Chapter 235. He tilted his head and looked at Huamin. He sighed slightly and said, one day, I will die by your hands. President Chin, why would you say that? Huamin looked like he had been wronged. Chin Chu helplessly reached out his hand and pinched Huamin's collagen-filled cheeks. No one could compare to her intelligence. It all depended on whether she wanted to use it or not. When it came to Chin Chu, she knew all too well where his weakness was. No matter what, even if she was wrong, she could still be so self-righteous about it. Most importantly, she could soften Chin Chu's heart with one sentence. Chin Chu's heart melted when he heard her call him hubby. He wasn't in the mood to think about why Ning Ziyuan called him just now. Plus, he trusted Huamin from the bottom of his heart. He had dated Ning Ziyuan for so long, but they never broke through the last line of defense. Yet, she was willing to move in with him and even sleep in the same bed as him. This proved that in Huamin's heart, he was special. So you're not angry anymore? Yes. Chin Chu nodded. Actually, Ning Ziyuan didn't call me for anything. He probably saw the news recently and found out about my relationship with the Hua family. He's probably regretting that he didn't get any benefits from me back then. Huamin tilted his head and calculated. In the future, there's no need to talk about unrelated people. It seemed like Chin Chu was still slightly jealous. Huamin immediately wrapped his arms around Chin Chu's neck and smiled fawningly. Yes, Mr. Chin. That night, things took a turn for the better. Huamin's guess was right. After this incident was dug up, some nosy people found out that Shinjiani had interfered with Jiang Hong and Hua Jinghai's marriage in order to climb up the social ladder. In the end, she openly moved into the Hua family with her children. After this incident was exposed, it caused quite a stir. However, Shinjiani was more powerful. Before the public opinion reached its climax, she took Hui Yanyan on an interview. During the interview, she cried about her grievances and difficulties. She said that she and Hua Jinghai were truly in love and that Mrs. Hua allowed her to move into the Hua family. She wasn't the scheming woman that the internet made her out to be. As soon as she saw the public side, Shinjiani couldn't hold back and jumped out to clear her name. This was indeed their style. That night, Hua Mian called her mother and had a long talk. The next day, when the media went to interview Yang Meirong, she really wanted to yell at that scheming bitch Shinjiani. However, Hua Mian repeatedly reminded her not to do that. Sometimes, silence was the best response. Otherwise, it would only make things worse. Southside Recuperation Center Suyu had been very free lately. Without the extravagant nightlife, he paid attention to the gossip every night. He had been following Huamin's incident. He had expected the situation to turn around today. However, Huamin hadn't responded or made a move. This made him even more curious. It seems like the power behind this hasn't made a move, Siyu exclaimed. Ever since the doctor-patient incident, Siyu vaguely felt that there was a mysterious power behind Huamin. At this thought, he picked up his phone, found Hua Xiqian on WeChat, and sent him a message. That sister of yours is very interesting. There's finally a decent woman in the Hua family. Are you talking about Hua Yanyan? Hua Xiqian immediately replied. Huamin, Siyu replied with 2 words. Hua Xiqian didn't reply. Instead, he called. How's your recovery going? You're very free. You even have the time to use WeChat. Hua Xiqian teased. He and Siyu were in the same circle. They usually hung out together. They weren't buddies, but they weren't strangers either. It's good. I like it here. Suyu's lips twitched. You know. Huamin? Hua Xiqian asked. Yeah, she's my personal nurse, Siyu said deliberately. Hua Xiqian smiled. Really? What a coincidence. Your sister is really nice. If I say that I want to date Huamin, will you support me? On the other end of the phone, Hua Xiqian's expression changed slightly, and his gaze turned sharp. Chapter 236. Ha, your taste has been dropping lately. My sister isn't that good looking. She's just plain noodle soup. You get sick of eating too much meat. Plain noodle soup suits my taste, Siyu retorted. Alright then, since you're interested, go ahead. It wouldn't be bad if you became my brother-in-law. Hua Xiqian laughed. After hanging up, Siyu played with his phone as his mind raced. As far as he knew, the power behind Huamin was not to be underestimated. Was it really Hua Xiqian? On the surface, Huamin and Hua Xiqian didn't seem to have a good relationship, but Siyu always felt that there was something strange about the relationship between the siblings. Perhaps Hua Xiqian had been helping Huamin because of the Hua family's internal conflict. After hanging up, Siyu suddenly remembered something and sent a WeChat message to Hua Xiqian. Give me Huamin's WeChat ID. Isn't she your nurse? Why don't you get it yourself? Of course, if I could get it, why would I ask you? Siyu rolled his eyes at his phone angrily. I don't have it either, I only have her phone number. Doesn't her WeChat ID include her phone number? Siyu was curious. No. Seeing Hua Xiqian's reply, Siyu was completely speechless. Fine, WeChat ID wasn't her phone number. Such a twisted style was indeed Huamin's style. He picked up his phone and dialed a number. I don't care what you do, I want you to find Huamin's WeChat ID in 3 minutes. As expected, 3 minutes later, his phone received a text message. It was a string of numbers. Siyu typed in the number and found that it was Huamin. Her profile picture was a picture of a teenager. She still looked the same as she did many years ago, with her ponytail and white t-shirt. Such a silly look. Siyu smiled and pressed the identity verification button. After a long time, he still didn't get a reply. He got anxious and added it again. It said, Siyu. The person on the other end directly refused to add a message and replied with 2 words, not familiar. Siyu was so angry that he was speechless. This was the first time he had taken the initiative to add a woman on WeChat. One had to know that those women were proud of adding him on WeChat. Huamin, just you wait, he threatened. Huamin was about to fall asleep on the other end. He glanced at the screen and muttered to himself, crazy. The next morning when Huamin woke up, the situation changed again. It turned out that Hua Xiqian's adoptive mother had accepted the interview. Those words in the interview were a slap to Shinjiani's face. She did not admit that she had acquiesced to Shinjiani moving into the Hua family. She also did not admit that she had a bad relationship with Hua Zhenghai. She even pointed out that some people would do anything to climb up the social ladder. Xinjiani did not think that Jiang Hong would go against her so directly. She ran to the hospital to complain to Hua Zhenghai. Although Hua Zhenghai cared about his mistress, he did not dare to blame Jiang Hong because of the Jiang family's influence. He could only persuade Xinjiani to stop making a fuss and quickly calm down. Hua Min did not respond from the beginning to the end. He also did not allow his mother to respond. Therefore, after a few days, the impact of the incident was not as big. A few nurses at the hospital tried to ask her about Hua Xiqian's private life, but she did not know anything. When she was taking care of the old man in room 2, she would also pick up medicine for Su Yu. Every day, she went to see Su Yu when she was the most unwilling. She did not want to coax the pretentious old man. Hua Min, why didn't you add me on WeChat? Su Yu asked as soon as he saw Hua Min walk in. What law in China says that I have to add you on WeChat? Hua Min did not even look up. He placed the medicine on the tray and poured a glass of warm water. Take your medicine. If you add me, I'll take it. Young Master Su began to throw a tantrum. It doesn't matter if you take it or not. It's not like you're giving it to me. Obviously, this method did not work. Su Yu was so angry that his teeth were itching. Hua Min, I called Hua Xiqian last night and told him about you. As expected, when he heard Hua Xiqian's name, Hua Min stopped in his tracks. Seeing that there was hope, Su Yu deliberately mystified, Hua Xiqian seems to treat your sister differently. Hua Min's expression changed when he heard this. Chapter 237. Finally, Hua Min turned around, glared at Su Yu, and said something domineering. I think I've been too lenient on you lately. Su Yu was speechless. Was this damned girl trying to threaten him? Hui Yanyan and Xinjiani were enough to give Hua Min a headache. Now that Su Yu mentioned Hua Xiqian, it really added to her psychological burden. Zhu Lingling had asked her on WeChat how she planned to deal with this matter. Her answer was to deal with it coldly, which meant that she wouldn't respond and let the matter end. But now, it seemed like Xinjiani and the others wouldn't give up until they caused some trouble. Hua Min was thinking of a counterattack plan to protect herself and slap them in the face. Just as she was thinking about it, a statement on the internet caused a sensation. Hello, friends from all walks of life. Because the recent events have caused a lot of trouble for society and me personally, I'm making a statement to give everyone an explanation and to give myself justice. Although my surname is Hua, I haven't been in contact with the Hua family for many years. Other than the last time when my grandmother passed away and I sent her off, I don't have any financial dealings or disputes with the Hua family, and I won't participate in the so-called inheritance fight. Please don't make assumptions that will negatively affect me and my family. In the future, I will continue to live my current life and will not respond to this matter. Today, I promise that I won't return to the Hua family, won't participate in any of the Hua family's profitable investments, won't take a dime of the Hua family's shares, and won't return to work at the Hua Corporation. Please return me to an ordinary life. Thank you. Hua Min signed the last two words. The entire statement was written in Hua Min's tone, so it was more vivid and realistic. Although the signature wasn't Hua Min's, no one doubted it. After all, if someone else had written it on his behalf, they would be held accountable by the law. Hua Min was very happy to see such a statement that matched her thoughts. Other than Qin Chu, she couldn't think of anyone else who could guess what she was thinking and give her such a statement at such a critical moment. She immediately picked up the phone and dialed a number. 3 seconds later, the call was answered. Hello. Qin Chu answered the phone. I saw the statement. It's written really well. There's only one sentence missing. Which one? You should have just written that I want to sever all ties with the Hua family and never contact them again. If you write that, It will make you seem narrow-minded and people will gossip about you. It won't be good for public opinion. I'm just kidding. I know you're very thoughtful. That statement, I think, it wasn't written by your company's public relations team, right? You were the one who thought about every word for me, right? Hwa-Mian asked gently. At least you have good taste. Almighty Chin was proud again. This statement was carefully written in his notebook during lunchtime. After confirming that it was correct, he posted it online. Because of Chin Chu, this statement was quickly reposted by all the major media outlets and instantly seen by everyone. Chin Chu. Yeah. I really want to thank you, but I won't say it this time. You said before that I shouldn't always say thank you to you. I'm your wife, so it's natural for you to protect me. But you're so good to me, I don't know what to do. I just don't want you to get hurt. I know, I'm too useless. I call myself a genius, but I'm always in a deadlock and need you to help me out. I'm thinking, if you didn't come back and were still in the States, what would I do? No, your assumption isn't valid. I'm already by your side, and I'll never leave you. Hwa-Mian held onto the phone, her eyes slightly teary. Let's have dinner together tonight, it's my treat. After speaking, Hwa-Mian hung up the phone. The corners of Chin Chu's lips curled up slightly. He knew that his baby was touched again. It was just a statement, but this statement expressed what Hwa-Mian wanted to say. Because Chin Chu personally wrote it, everything was different. In the evening, Hwa-Mian rushed home. She changed into a dark blue shirt and black wide-legged pants. She looked like a professional white-collar worker. Just as she was about to leave, she received a call from Hwa-Sichen. He seemed to be calling Hwa-Mian a lot lately. Hwa-Mian thought that he wanted to teach her a lesson because of the statement she made earlier today. However, he suddenly said, "You better quit your job at Southside." Why? Hwa-Mian didn't understand. If you don't want to get into trouble, then don't have any interactions with Su-Yu. He's really not suitable for you. Chapter 238. You make it sound like you're the most suitable person for me, Hwa-Mian replied coldly. Hwa-Sichen fell silent. I'm telling the truth, Mian. I'm telling the truth too. Didn't you tell me not to get too close to Chin Chu? In your eyes, no man in the world is better than you, right? But they can hurt you. Then who won't hurt me? You. Hwa-Mian retorted bluntly. If you're willing to come back, I'll protect you. All right, stop right there. Who doesn't know what you're planning? You should have seen my statement today, right? From now on, I don't want to have anything to do with the Hwa family. You're on your own now. After speaking, Hwa-Mian decisively hung up the phone. When she went downstairs, Chin Chu's car had just arrived. Hwa-Mian walked over, opened the door, and sat in the passenger seat. What's wrong? Chin Chu asked, noticing that something wasn't right. Nothing, I just received a harassing call. Chin Chu nodded and didn't say anything else. He turned the car around and drove out of the neighborhood. What do you want to eat? I'm treating you today, of course I'll pick something you like. Hwa-Mian smiled. Is Japanese food okay? Of course. Hwa-Mian wasn't picky about food. When she went out to eat, she was fine with anything. So, when Chin Chu mentioned Japanese food, she immediately nodded. 15 minutes later, the car stopped in front of a very high-end Japanese restaurant. The two of them entered an elegant private room. The decoration of the tatami mats was unique. A very popular Japanese song was playing. Although Hwa-Mian didn't really understand it, it was quite nice. During the meal, Hwa-Mian and Chin Chu chatted. Chin Chu, you call me Chin Chu when you don't need me, but when you need me, you call me hubby. Huamin, how obvious are you to burn the bridge after crossing it? Huamin, hearing Qin Chu's words, Huamin felt a little embarrassed. She coughed lightly and said, Hubby, I've always been the one causing trouble for you after we've been married for so long. Will you ignore me one day when I run out of patience? Do you think I'd do that? Huamin shook his head. I know you won't, but sometimes I hate myself for always getting into trouble. What's wrong with that? I'll help you deal with the aftermath. Qin Chu took a small sip of the sake. Huamian sometimes wondered if she had saved the galaxy in her previous life. Did she save the galaxy in her previous life? How did he meet a tall, rich, and handsome man like Qin Chu? After Qin Chu's statement was released, Qin Chu used his connections and methods to get news reports to come out in the afternoon and evening. Most of them tried to clear Huamin's name. However, no matter how much Shinjiani acted or cried, she couldn't change the fact that she was a mistress. Hui Yanyan was notorious in the industry. She was so angry that she didn't dare to leave her house for days, afraid that people would point fingers at her. Huamin had already made it clear that there was no point in him pretending to be sick in the hospital. Do you know when I wanted to go back to the Hua family the most? Huamin asked casually as he held his phone and accidentally saw the news of Hua Xinghai's discharge. Do you still want to go back to the Hua family? Qin Chu was curious about this. Huamin nodded, then, she continued, it was 7 years ago, when we were passionately in love. At the time, your mother looked down on my family background. The truth is, I despised myself too. Back then, I had a beautiful dream that if Hua Zhenghai took me back, I would be a socialite like Hui Yanyan. Maybe then, your mother would agree to us being together. Huamin held a small teacup with both hands as she said this, looking like a little girl. She looked cute and pitiful. You didn't expect me to be so vain, did you? Huamin playfully stuck out her tongue. Qin Chu's gaze was slightly pained. Mian, don't say any more. Chapter 239. You know, I've never despised you because of your family background. But your mother did, or else Uncle Jing wouldn't have died. If Uncle Jing hadn't tried to save me back then, I would have been the one who died, and I wouldn't be sitting here today. Mian. Qin Chu felt cruel when faced with this painful past. He had tried his best to make up for it, but he knew that this was still a nightmare for Huamin that she couldn't forget. All these years, she carried a heavy psychological burden with her, but what could he do? The mastermind behind all this was his mother. Could he go and kill her? That was unrealistic. Qin Chu, I didn't mean to bring this up. Sometimes, I just hate my family background, and I hate Hua Zhenghai for not giving me a proper identity. Now that I'm all grown up, it's no longer possible for him to use me. I understand. I know that you're the only one who can understand what I'm saying. Otherwise, I wouldn't have written such a statement. Sometimes, I don't think I'm that pathetic. At least in this world, there's someone who understands me. He knows what I'm thinking. He's willing to listen to all the pain I'm going through. He's also willing to accompany and soothe the wounds in my heart. Huamin was usually out of it, and whenever Qin Chu said something affectionate, she would subconsciously avoid it. Now that she took the initiative to say these things, Qin Chu didn't know what to do. Qin Chu, if one day, I have nothing left, and you're the only one left, will you still be willing to be with me? Of course. Me too. If one day you have nothing left, if you're no longer the president of GK, Dr. Qin, or the omnipotent Mr. Qin, I'm still willing to be by your side. Even if the whole world betrays you, I'll betray the world with you without hesitation. So, Ms. Huamin, are you confessing to me? After listening for a while, Qin Chu felt like this girl was confessing to him today. Let's eat. I'm starving. Huamin changed the topic again when they were talking about the passion part. In order to prevent Qin Chu's enteritis from relapsing, she specifically told him to eat more mustard to kill bacteria. The two of them had a good dinner. During that time, her brother sent a WeChat message saying that he and his mother were very happy after seeing the announcement. This matter should be over. Shenjiani and Hui Yanyan could not cause any trouble no matter how much trouble they made. Everyone knew that Huamin was the illegitimate daughter of the Huamin family, but Huamin didn't think it was embarrassing. This was something that happened more than 20 years ago. Now that it was brought up, it was nothing more than a purposeful publicity stunt. After this incident, who would care whose daughter she was? Besides, the statement clearly stated that she would never return to the Hua family and had nothing to do with the Hua family, so naturally, no one would try to get close to her. She believed that the nurses at the nursing home would not pester her for Hua Xiqian's phone number. After dinner, the two of them walked out of the restaurant hand in hand. The night was very windy, so Qin Chu took off his jacket and put it on Huamin. Then, he held her hand and got into the car. Qin Chu's car was the only royal-style Maybach in the city, so the license plate number was very obvious. When they passed by a fork in the road and stopped for a red light, Lady Qin sat in the black Bentley and frowned slightly. Old song, look. Is that young master's car? I think so. The Bentley driver glanced at the license plate to confirm. Why is there a woman in the car? Let's go and take a look. Lady Qin vaguely saw a long-haired woman sitting in the front passenger seat of her son's car. She immediately perked up. Chapter 240. The driver, Old Song, immediately changed lanes and chased after the Maybach after hearing Qin Chu's words. Qin Chu inadvertently glanced in the rearview mirror and noticed something fishy. They were going to go straight home, but Qin Chu immediately made a sharp turn and headed in another direction. Hey, you're wrong, this isn't the way home, Huamin quickly reminded him. We're not going home. Since we have time, let's go for a drive. Huamin was speechless. Was it really a good time to go for a drive on a cold night like this? However, she believed that Qin Chu knew what he was doing. Therefore, she didn't ask any more questions. She watched as Qin Chu zigzagged through alleyways and onto main streets. Huamin immediately understood something. She looked at the rearview mirror. So we were followed. That's my mom's car, Qin Chu said. Oh. When it came to Qin Chu's mother, Huamin seemed to be born enemies with her, and they both disliked each other. Huamin didn't even want to say a word about her. After driving in circles for more than 10 minutes, they finally lost the black Bentley. Qin Chu drove around Rainbow Square before returning to Imperial Park. Old Song, what happened? Lady Qin wanted to see what woman her son was with, but the car was gone. She began to panic. I'm sorry, madam, young master drove too fast, and we only took small roads and one-way streets. We lost him. Forget it, let's go back first. Back at the Qin Manor, the first thing Lady Qin did was take out her phone and dial a number. Jiang Linyue was putting on a facial mask. When she saw the caller ID, she immediately picked up and politely said, Madam. Were you in Chu's car just now? Lady Qin probed. It wasn't me, Jiang Linyue answered honestly. Oh, I just saw a woman sitting in the passenger seat of Chu's car. I thought it was you. The truth was, Lady Qin knew that Jiang Linyue had long hair. The woman in the car had shoulder-length hair, so they were two completely different people. She only asked to see if Jiang Linyue was telling the truth. Luckily, she was honest. Oh, it should be a client from Taipei today. He's the person in charge of a cooperation project. Boss Qin has been busy this morning. I think Assistant Yang arranged the meeting for tonight. Jiang Linyue reacted quickly and immediately made up a person. She also wanted to know who the woman in Qin Chu's car was. Is that so? Then I must be thinking too much. Have you and Chu made any progress recently? President Qin treats me very well. It's just that the company is too busy, so I don't have much private time. It's good to be busy, but you have to take care of yourself. Girls need to take the initiative. Chu is not that unreasonable. You're so beautiful, he'll fall for you sooner or later, Lady Qin said earnestly. I know. Thank you for your concern. After hanging up the phone, Jiang Linyue thought for a moment and dialed Qin Chu's number. Qin Chu and Huamin had just arrived home. He looked at the caller ID and didn't recognize the number. Hello. Hello, President Qin, I'm Jiang Linyue. What is it? President Qin took off his jacket and spoke in a formal tone. Mrs. Qin just called me and said that she saw a woman in your car. I explained that she was a client from Taipei. Got it. Before Jiang Linyue could finish, Qin Chu hung up the phone. Jiang Linyue bit her lips. She didn't want to give up after being rejected again and again. Qin Chu was just about to sit down and turn on the TV to watch the financial news when he heard a scream from upstairs. Upon hearing Huamin's scream, Qin Chu immediately got up and ran upstairs. Chapter 241. Mian, what's wrong? Qin Chu anxiously knocked on the door of the washroom. I. Huamin was too embarrassed to say it out loud. What's wrong? Qin Chu was so anxious that he was about to die. Qin Chu, my period came early. Huamin wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Her period always came on time. She remembered that it was still 4 days away. However, it suddenly came today and caught her off guard. So, what do I need to do? Qin Chu didn't know what to do either. A woman's period wasn't something that a man could help with. I don't think we have that at home. Can you go buy some for me? Huamin couldn't come out because her pants were soaked, so she could only hide in the washroom. Okay. Qin Chu awkwardly said okay and went downstairs. 5 minutes later, Huamin's phone rang. Hello. What brand do you want? Qin Chu asked in all seriousness. Anything is fine. What about the length? At least 38 centimeters. For day use or night use? Ahem, 1 pack of each will be fine. Okay. Then, Qin Chu hung up the phone. Huamin felt that it was really tiring to have such an awkward conversation with Qin Chu. This man didn't seem to know anything. She couldn't blame Qin Chu for this. This was the first time in his life that he had ever bought something like this. Not only did he find that there were many brands, but there were also different lengths, day use, and night use. The textures were also divided into gauze, cotton, and silk mesh. There was too much information here, too complicated. After waiting for another 5 minutes, Qin Chu came back. When he handed Huamin the bags from the washroom door, Huamin was dumbfounded. There were more than 20 packs. Why did you buy so many? Huamin was speechless. Save it for later. All right. You really know how to plan ahead. 10 minutes later, Huamian finally slowly walked out of the room. Qin Chu pointed to a bowl on the tea table and said, "Drink it." What? Huamin was stunned. Poison. Huamin, is it brown sugar water? Looking at the dark red color, Huamin guessed. Why are you still asking if you already know? You actually know how to boil sugar water for me. You're quite knowledgeable. Huamin looked at Qin Chu, amused. I just looked it up on the internet with my phone. It said that it's good to drink this during your period. Alright, Boss Qin, You're really considerate. You're almost as considerate as my shoe bow. Chin Chu frowned slightly. What's a nurse's treasure? It's nothing. Huamin didn't say anything else. She picked up the bowl and drank the entire bowl of brown sugar water. This was a gift from her Adonis. When they got into bed that night, Huamin looked at Chin Chu and said hesitantly, I'm on my period today, so it's not convenient. Can you sleep in your bed? You make it sound like I can do anything when you're not on your period. Huamin, go to sleep, why do you have so many things to do? Before Huamin could say anything, Chin Chu crawled under the covers. Huamin lay down nervously. She was on the night shift the last few times she was on her period, so she avoided him. This was the first time she was on her period. It felt a bit weird sleeping with Chin Chu. Huamin lay flat on her back. Her waist felt sore. On the first day, she would have period pains. Also, she lost a lot of blood, so she couldn't sleep because she didn't dare to move around. Suddenly, a warm hand covered her abdomen. It scared her. You. I heard that this reduces the pain. After Chin Chu spoke, he gently rubbed her stomach. Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Did you look this up on the internet? Yeah. Honey, can we talk about something in the future? Go ahead. Can you stop looking up all this nonsense on the internet? I'm on my period, not in the 3rd trimester. You don't have to be so pretentious. After Huamin spoke, she rudely removed Chin Chu's hand from her stomach. It wasn't that she didn't want Chin Chu to do this, but her stomach was too sensitive. His hand was directly placed there. She felt like she was going to break down at any moment. Chin Chu sighed slightly and said, the internet is right. What's right? Huamin curiously tilted her head and looked at Chin Chu. Don't try to reason with a creature that bleeds 7 days a month and doesn't die. Women are the most powerful beings in the universe. Huamin was once again shocked, therefore, she really should consider cutting off the internet at home. Chin Chu going online was a tragedy in itself. The next morning, when Huamin arrived at the recuperation center for his shift, he ran into a familiar face. When he saw Huamin, he was also stunned. Wei Dong. Huamin was a bit surprised. Chapter 242. Huamin. Why are you here? I transferred here a long time ago. I'm no longer at the first hospital. What about you? Why are you here? My dad had cerebral thrombosis a while ago because of excessive drinking. He was treated in the hospital for a while and the results were pretty good. He wants to recuperate here in the future. I heard that this place is very good for recuperation in the future. Yes, that's right. This place focuses on the combination of diet and medicine. The environment is also good. With an authoritative expert in this field, it's definitely much better than at home. Yes, but it seems like you don't have a ward here. The neurosurgery department has one. Wei Dong scratched his head embarrassedly. Ever since he didn't lend Huamin money last time, he felt that he was particularly unmanly. It was very embarrassing that he couldn't keep his promise. Therefore, he didn't talk much in the WeChat group. After Huamin and Chin Chu both left the group, he felt much more at ease. However, Zhu Lingling, who knew about it, would occasionally make a few sarcastic remarks. He didn't expect to meet Huamin here. He also saw the things that Huamin frequently reported a while ago. However, he knew that as long as Chin Chu was here, Huamin would be fine. The truth was that Huamin was indeed scared but not in danger every time. I see. Wait a moment, I'll go ask. After that, Huamin returned to the on-call desk and called the head nurse. The head nurse meant that there were beds available in the neurosurgery department, but the allocation was based on the patient's identity and status. If the patient didn't have any background or power, they would usually be sent away with the excuse that there were no beds available. Head nurse, can you help me put in a good word? This is my classmate's father. He has cerebral thrombosis and wants to recuperate. It's not easy for old people. Okay, I'll call the neurosurgery department for you. Fortunately, the head nurse was a good person. After a while, she called Huamin back and said that she would help her get a ward. Wei Dong, I've reserved a ward for you. It's in room 9. You can take uncle there directly. Really? Thank you, Huamin. No, go ahead. Uncle's condition is critical. I'm in the orthopedics department here. If there's anything, call me at any time. All right. Because of Huamin's help, Wei Dong successfully helped his father stay in the hospital. He was very grateful, but at the same time, he was embarrassed to face Huamin. At noon, Huamin didn't have time to go to the restaurant for lunch. Just as he was looking at the report, Wei Dong walked over with food. I bought you lunch. You don't have to be so polite. Huamin raised his head and smiled. You're welcome. It's nothing expensive. I remembered that you liked to eat shrimp dumplings when you were in school, so I bought some for you when I drove out to buy lunch for my dad. Thank you. Huamin took the lunchbox with a smile. Huamin, about what happened before. I'm really sorry. Before. Oh. It's okay, it's all in the past. You don't have to apologize to me. It's really nothing. To be honest, Huamin never hated Wei Dong. Sometimes, she even felt lucky that Wei Dong didn't lend her money. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to be with Qin Chu. In the end, it was Wei Dong who helped her and Qin Chu be together. But my feelings for you are real. I can only say that. I didn't have the luck to marry a goddess. Wei Dong was a little regretful. If his opponent wasn't Qin Chu, and if his opponent wasn't so strong, he wouldn't be willing to give up just like that. What goddess? Don't flatter me. I'm just a nurse right now. Just then, Wei Dong's phone rang. He said goodbye to Huamin and walked out while answering the phone. Huamin opened the lunchbox and ate the shrimp dumplings with relish. She doesn't look like much, but she sure is good at seducing men. So you just happened to see the scene from before. Although he couldn't hear what they were saying, he saw the man give Huamin food and Huamin smile at the man. To be honest, he was actually a little jealous. Huamin looked up at Su Yu and said bluntly, "You're a stud horse, so don't shamelessly mock others." Stupid girl, who are you calling a stud horse? Su Yu was furious. Chapter 243. Who am I talking about? You know what you're talking about. Don't spout nonsense. Not many of those women have slept with me. Su Yu knew that Huamin would see different women enter and leave his room every day at the hospital. Naturally, he would make the connection. How many is not many? Huamin looked at Su Yu, amused. Why should I explain myself to you? You're not my woman. Su Yu raised his head arrogantly. Bah, don't say such unlucky things. If I were your woman, I would kill myself at the southern gate. You. Su Yu rarely won when arguing with Huamin, but the strange thing was, even if he lost, he wouldn't get angry. Who was that man just now? Your boyfriend. He looks pretty bad. I can tell he's a nouveau riche. Su Yu laughed mockingly. If being rich means being a nouveau riche, then you're a super nouveau riche. What? You're not happy that I'm your boyfriend? He's not my boyfriend. Don't spout nonsense. Huamin looked down at the report and replied. Suyu seemed to be in a good mood when he heard that he wasn't her boyfriend. He leaned on the desk with both hands and looked at Hwamin. Do you have a boyfriend? What does that have to do with you? If you don't, I can introduce one to you. Look at my bodyguards. They're all handsome and strong. They're all better than that guy. Your bodyguards are better than you. Hwamin looked up at Suyu and said. So, do you want me to introduce one to you? Suyu smiled mysteriously. Didn't the Su family start out as a bank? When did it become a marriage? Is it going to change its style? Suyu's face immediately darkened. Hey, you little brat, I'm being nice, I don't need your kindness. If there's nothing else, go back and close the door. Don't let your flirtatious news spread to every corner of the hospital. Ever since you came, the atmosphere in the hospital has become worse and worse. Those who know us think we're a sanatorium, but those who don't know might think we're a brothel. After Hwamin spoke, he rolled his eyes at Suyu and returned to the on-call room with his shrimp dumplings. And Suyu was left alone at the desk. After having a delicious lunch, she looked at the time. There were still 20 minutes before work. Hwamian logged into WeChat and chatted with Zhu Lingling, telling her about her encounter with Wei Dong. Zhu Lingling was biased against Wei Dong, so she immediately warned, ignore Wei Dong, he's just a despicable person who takes advantage of others. Luckily, he backed off, or else Qin Chu wouldn't have let him off the hook. Hwamin smiled. Oh right, did you too, do it? Zhu Lingling asked nosily. No. Sigh, what the heck? Big sis, do you have sexual apathy? You've been in the same bed for so long, and nothing happened? Who would believe that? Even Zhu Lingling felt that it was unfair for Qin Chu. Hwamin thought for a moment and replied, liking someone is reckless. Love is restraint. Did you know, Lingling? The deeper my feelings for Qin Chu, the more apprehensions I have. If something really happened between us one day, I feel like my mentality would be different. I don't want to criticize you, but it's not the first time. 7 years ago, didn't you get drunk and mess around? Hwamin felt a little awkward at the mention of what happened 7 years ago. Back then, I was young. I didn't care about the world and didn't think about what would happen tomorrow. I just did what I loved and gave myself to him. Now that I'm older, I've become a coward. Being crazy is just a sign of being young and ignorant. I'm very rational now. But have you thought about it? If you get pregnant, Qin Chu's mother might accept you for the sake of her grandson, Zhu Lingling suggested. But have you thought about it? What if I give birth and the conflict between us hasn't been resolved? The child will have to suffer the same pain as me. When that happens, Qin Chu will be the only one in trouble. So, are you still thinking about divorcing him? Zhu Lingling asked with a voice message. Chapter 244. I don't know, who knows what's going to happen in the future. To be honest, I didn't even dare to think that one day I'd be by Qin Chu's side and live such a simple life with him. I don't know what's going to happen or what I'll face in the future. I can only take one step at a time. That's good, you don't have to think about those useless things. How have you been? Have you gotten over your breakup? I've successfully entered another relationship, haha, Zhu Lingling announced proudly. Okay, you win. Haven't you heard of this saying? If you want to walk out of a relationship completely, the only way is to throw yourself into another relationship. What kind of person is this? Hwamin thought that Lingling's job was a bit complicated. Whenever people heard that she was a stewardess, they would think of her seductive uniform and would have a bias against her job. Plus, with Zhu Lingling's delicate face, customers would often ask for her contact information. He's a rich kid, and not just any rich kid. I heard that he hangs out with Suyu a lot. He even said that he'd take me to meet young Master Su one day. I'm looking forward to it. Don't meet young Master Su if you can. You'll be disappointed. Ha! You've met him. He's recuperating at my place. He's like an ancestor all day long. Everyone in the hospital wants to take a board and offer him to the gods. Really? Ha, tell me, what's you like in person? Is he as good-looking as in photos? Does he have a nice voice? Wasn't he being very generous? Does he have a lot of girlfriends? Is Xiao Qingya, the popular actress, having an affair with him? Zhu Lingling asked a bunch of questions. In the end, Huamin only replied, Su Yu is a super annoying guy. He's arrogant and bad-tempered. He's not one of the four princes. He's more like a Tyrannosaurus Rex ready to spit fire at any moment. Ha 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 ha, this is the first time I've heard someone say that about Su Yu. You're such a weirdo. I'm telling the truth. It's up to you to believe me. I know. You only have eyes for your almighty Qin. No matter how good other men are, they won't enter your eyes. After chatting with Zhu Lingling for a while, she got off WeChat to get to work. When she went back home after work, she inadvertently looked at the calendar and found that Ning Ziyuan's wedding was in a few days. During dinner, was to get married to make to get to the wedding to get to Qin to get to Ning to get to Qin to get married to Qin's tea? Yeah, what to get to be to get to get to get to get to get. To, that's to be that have to gives to get to be toot. To get to it. T to gets to get to Qin, T to get to know to be to get to's rich. T to get to be to him to be to get to be A to get to, S to get the money to get to the to him to get to him to get to be to give to be it be to get to be given to be given. $100,000 is too much. It seems like we have different values. Don't worry about it and listen to me. I'll get the finance department to transfer the money to you tomorrow. Just go and get the gift, but don't eat there. Come back after you've given me the money. Huami nodded, I know, but you don't have to transfer the money to me. I still have a lot in my card. Qin Chu reached out his book and patted Huamin's head lovingly. Listen to me, be a good girl. The next morning, not long after Qin Chu got to work, Huamin received the money transfer. It was another $200,000. Qin Chu, how generous are you to spend $200,000 on your love rival? Are you the idiot with too much money? 3 days passed quickly. Huamian struggled for a long time and finally decided to wear a black Chanel dress, which was elegant and classy. She went to the 3rd floor of Xingjing Hotel by herself. From afar, she saw Ning Ziyuan in his groom suit, greeting the guests with a fake smile on his face. When he saw Huamian, his eyes flashed with surprise. Mian. He called out her name, just like he always did. Chapter 245. Most of the time, when Ning Ziyuan saw Huamin, she was dressed in a loose white lab coat. Now that she saw Huamin in an elegant black socialite dress, she was stunned. Huamin's hair wasn't long, it only reached her shoulders. To match the dress, she tied her hair up in a bun and pinned it with a crystal hair clip. Even though she was here for the wedding and not to steal the bride's limelight, she couldn't lose in terms of presents. Congratulations on your wedding. Huamin handed her a red packet. Ning Ziyuan took it and put it in her shirt pocket. Then, she smiled and said, thank you. Huamin nodded and didn't say anything else. You're very beautiful today. Ning Ziyuan actually thought, you look better today than you did at your university graduation ceremony. However, she was too embarrassed to talk to Huamin about their university days. At that time, there were no materialistic things involved, it was just pure feelings. Huamin was about to say something when Wu Xiaoxue walked out with the help of 2 bridesmaids. She shouted from afar, Ziyuan. Sorry, I have to go over for a bit. Hurry and find a seat. Ning Ziyuan jogged towards Wu Xiaoxue. Huamin turned around and walked towards the door. She wasn't in the mood to sit down and watch the ceremony. It wasn't because she was jealous, nor was it because she couldn't get over it. She just felt that they weren't her best friends, so why should she waste her time with them? When she walked out, she bumped into President Wu at the entrance of the hotel. His male assistant was beside him. Huamin. President Wu greeted him first. President Wu. Huamin nodded. Are you used to Southside? I heard you're doing well. Yeah, I'm used to it. The leaders at Southside take good care of me. That's good. I'll go over for an inspection when I have time. I'll talk to you alone then. All right. After bidding farewell to President Wu, Huamin walked out of the hotel. She took a deep breath and called Qin Chu. I just came out from Ning Ziyuan's wedding. Yes. He's dressed like a country bumpkin today. He's nothing compared to our Mr. Qin. For the first time, Huamin actually started to flatter him. However, as the saying goes, flattery never fails. Qin Chu enjoyed it very much, the corners of his mouth twitched in satisfaction. There aren't many people who can compete with me. Of course, of course. Huamin echoed with a smile. Did you give the cash gift? Qin Chu asked again. Ahem. I did, but I didn't give you the amount you asked for. Huamin was ready to come clean. Then how much will you give? 300,000. Qin Chu thought she gave him more because she was soft-hearted. But, even if she gave him 500,000, it wouldn't affect their family's financial situation. No. Then how much? 500,000. 1 million. Qin Chu was very curious about how much this girl gave her ex. 200. 200. Qin Chu thought he heard wrong and repeated himself. Yeah, 200 yuan. I thought about it, but I still can't bear to part with so much money. Although you're rich, the money belongs to us. Why should we give it to Ning Ziyuan and Wu Xiaoxue? We can't go against money. Based on my relationship with Ning Ziyuan, we're university alumni at most, and Wu Xiaoxue and I are colleagues who don't get along well. We're friends for 100 yuan each. I did the math, and 200 yuan is enough. After Qin Chu heard what she said, he chuckled quietly. What are you laughing at? Huamin was a little helpless. Good job, honey. Qin Chu was amused by the unexpected gift. He also thought that Huamian hated evil people as if they were her enemies. After hanging up the phone, the corners of Qin Chu's mouth were still slightly raised. Assistant Yang walked in with some documents. When he saw his boss smiling so brightly, he immediately asked, Boss, did something good happen today? Yeah. Can you share it with me? Assistant Yang ran over and asked. No. Assistant Yang, fine, it wasn't the first time his boss was so stubborn. Luckily, he was already used to it. That night, when Ning Ziyuan and Wu Xiaoxue returned to their new house to count the cash gifts, they saw Huamin's name on it. Wu Xiaoxue immediately snatched it from Ning Ziyuan's hands. Xiaoxue, what are you doing? I want to see how much your old lover spent, Wu Xiaoxue said mockingly. Chapter 246. When Wu Xiaoxue opened the red envelope and took out the 2 notes inside, her face fell. She pointed at Ning Ziyuan and asked, See, what did I tell you? You shouldn't have told her that this woman spent 200 yuan. That's not even enough for me to eat breakfast. How could she have the nerve to spend so much money on me? Ning Ziyuan said. Our banquet costs 15,800 yuan, and she spent 200 yuan. How shameless can she be? She didn't eat. She left after she paid, Ning Ziyuan retorted. You're observant enough. There were so many people, but you still remember whether she ate or not. Ning Ziyuan, what do you mean? Are you still unable to forget Huomin? Xiao Xue, you're thinking too much. If I couldn't forget her, would I have married you? That's hard to say. Maybe you married me for a reason. After all, my family paid for the house and car, and your future career will depend on my uncle's promotion, right? Otherwise, how could you, a graduate from a third-rate medical school, become a full-time employee so quickly? Wu Xiaoshua's words revealed her contempt for Ning Ziyuan. Men had self-esteem. After being provoked by Wu Xiaoshua, Ning Ziyuan was a little angry. If that's the case, I might as well go back to Huomin. She's the illegitimate daughter of the Huo family. Compared to her, isn't the Huo family more attractive? Well, Ning Ziyuan, you're finally telling the truth, aren't you? You regret it, don't you? Then let's get a divorce. Who wants to marry you? I want to abort this child. I don't want to live with someone like you. I know that other than Huomin, there's only Huomin in your mind. I hate this woman so much. I never want to hear her name. After speaking, Wu Xiaoxue threw the 200 yuan and the red envelope at Ning Ziyuan's face. Then, she opened the door and left. Ning Ziyuan sat on the wedding bed dispiritedly. He was not in the mood to chase after her. Wu Xiaoxue was a classic example of a princess with a disease. She was very pretentious and would complain whenever she was unhappy. Her attitude towards Ning Ziyuan's parents wasn't very friendly either. Today, Wu Xiaoshua's parents and uncle were sitting on the stage. Ning Ziyuan's parents didn't go on stage from beginning to end. It was obvious how much they looked down on his family. On the surface, those colleagues were also envious of him, saying that he had married an old wife. In fact, people were still gossiping behind his back about him marrying into the family and becoming a live-in son-in-law. The Wu family was rich and powerful, and Wu Xiaoxue had the temper of a spoiled brat. Ning Ziyuan felt that he couldn't take it anymore. Now that she thought about it, Huomin was much better than Wu Xiaoxue except for the fact that he wasn't that attentive to her. After Wu Xiaoxue slammed the door and left the house, she sped all the way to a nightclub that she frequented. Then, she called a few of her best friends over and started drinking, ignoring the fact that she was pregnant. In the corner, a woman in a sexy short skirt looked at Wu Xiaoxue, who was not far away. Isn't that the bride-to-be today? Why isn't she at home on her wedding night? How interesting. Man, what are you looking at? A man put his arm around he man's waist. I saw an enemy and I'm in a bad mood. Who is it? I'll help you teach her a lesson. The man looked very loyal. Wu Xiaoxue played in the nightclub for more than an hour. She checked her phone several times, but Ning Ziyuan didn't call her. In the end, she stormed out of the door, ready to go home and ask him if he still wanted to live. However, he didn't expect to bump into a black car when he was crossing an intersection. Wu Xiaoxue screamed. Her head hit the steering wheel hard and she instantly lost consciousness. Chapter 247. That night, Huomin and Qin Chu were curled up on the sofa watching the news. Suddenly, a piece of news caught her attention. Just now, there was a serious traffic accident at the intersection of Tianhai Road and 17th Street. A BMW and a black Didi crashed into each other. Both cars were severely damaged. The Didi's owner fled the scene, and the BMW's owner was sent to the first hospital for emergency treatment. The traffic department is investigating, so please fasten your seatbelt when traveling at night and obey the traffic rules. Then, the camera panned to the two cars involved in the accident. Huamin pointed at the TV in surprise. That looks like Wu Xiaoshua's car. Who's Wu Xiaoshua? Qin Chu began to selectively lose his memory again. She's the female doctor that I don't get along with, Ning Ziyuan's new wife. Oh. Qin Chu didn't seem to have much of a reaction. However, Huamin had a good memory. When he was working at the first hospital, he often saw Wu Xiaoshua's car. The license plate number was also quite arrogant, so Huamin recognized it immediately. But wasn't today her wedding day? How could such a serious traffic accident happen? As he pondered, he saw a WeChat message from his junior, Huang Yu. Senior, I have good news for you. Wu Xiaoshua was hospitalized after a car accident. Was it really her? You knew. I saw it on TV, Huamin replied. Yeah, I wonder why she didn't stay at home on her big day. Why did she come out to show off? She crashed into a car, but apparently, the driver ran away. I heard that he's a prostitute, so it's hard to track him down. Wu Xiaoshua is still in the war. I wonder if she can keep the baby. Upon hearing this, Huamin felt quite sad. No matter how much she hated it, she was still a pregnant woman. If she lost the baby because of this, it would be a tragedy. Just as he was texting Huang Yu, he suddenly saw a call from Ning Ziyuan. Huamin hesitated for a moment before picking up. Huamin, please help me save Xiaoshua. Isn't she in surgery? Huamin asked. But just now, the attending doctor came out and said that the operation is very difficult. Xiaoshua is bleeding now. It's as difficult as the pregnant woman you saved last time. The doctors are not confident, so Chief Wang hopes that you can come back to assist in the operation. Sorry, I'm just a nurse. There's nothing I can do. Huamin rejected Ning Ziyuan's request right away. If she still didn't have the face to suffer like last time, then she would really be a fool. I know what you're worried about. I won't hold you responsible for not being a qualified doctor. I won't believe you, and I won't help you. Just give up. Don't tell me you're just going to watch him die. Ning Ziyuan roared. But I'm not a doctor, Huamin replied calmly. Mian. Ning Ziyuan looked like he wanted to say something else. Huamin hung up the phone. What's up? Qin Chu asked nonchalantly. Wu Xiaoshua is in emergency treatment. Because she's pregnant, it's more difficult. The doctors at the first hospital want me to go back and assist in the operation. Ning Ziyuan called to ask me to save her. What do you think? I refused. I'm not a doctor, and I have no obligation to save people. But... Huamin hesitated. But if you don't help, and something happens to Wu Xiaoshua, your conscience will feel bad. How do you know? Are you really a roundworm in my stomach? Huamin exclaimed. Forget about being a roundworm. I'll just be your husband quietly. Huamin sighed slightly and rested his head on Qin Chu's lap. Wu Xiaoshua is really unlucky. She got into a car accident on her wedding night. If she can't keep the baby, I don't know if she can survive. If you want to save her, then go. You don't think I'm saving my enemy? Huamin raised his head and looked at Qin Chu curiously. When it comes to life, there's no such thing as friend or foe. If you don't have the basic compassion, then you don't deserve to be a doctor. But I'm not a doctor. I never was. Huamin smiled bitterly. In my heart, you already are. To Qin Chu, Huamin was the doctor who saved his life. He was the angel in white. So, do I have to go now? I'll drive you. After speaking, Qin Chu got up and opened the door to go downstairs. Looking at Qin Chu's back, Huamin's eyes teared up. How could he be so nice? Chapter 248. With Chin Chu's escort, Huamin arrived at the hospital in 5 minutes. He changed into a surgical gown and entered the operating room. When the chief surgeon saw Huamin, he was a little excited. "Huamin, you're finally here. Give it to me." Huamin took the scalpel and looked at the data while listening to the doctor talk about the patient's condition. Wu Xiaoshua's condition was more difficult than the pregnant woman's. The pregnant woman was about to give birth and could have a C-section. However, Wu Xiaoshua's child was less than 4 months old. If they induce labor, the child could not be saved. If they did not induce labor, it would be difficult to deal with the various drugs used in the surgery. What should we do? President Wu just called and said that if we had to choose between the two, we'll save the mother. The child is 4 months old and his limbs are fully formed. If we induce labor, not only will it be very harmful to the patient, but the chances of her getting pregnant in the future will also be very small. Yes, we all understand. The problem is that both the child and the mother are in danger. Dr. Wu's head is severely injured and she has 3 broken ribs on her left side. The surgery will be very difficult. Time was tight. Huamin summarized the data. "Chief Wang, you'll do the orthopedic surgery first and help the patient reconnect her ribs. I'll try to control her brain using physical control to maintain balance. I'll try to protect her fetus first and see if the child can be saved. After all the data stabilizes, we'll see if she needs brain surgery. Looking at the current situation, it doesn't seem to be a big problem. It should be a concussion. Is this okay?" This arrangement was unprecedented and the doctors did not know what to do. "I'm just giving my suggestion. You're the attending doctors, so you can make the final decision," Huamin said. In the end, the doctors nodded and decided to give it a try. Huamin wanted to do his best to save Wu Xiaoshua and protect the child at the same time. It was hard to imagine that Wu Xiaoshua, a woman who always made things difficult for her, would do so much for her at such a critical moment. The operation lasted for 4.5 hours. Chin Chu waited in the car downstairs. When Huamin came out, exhausted, the corridor was filled with people, led by Wu Xiaoshua's parents and President Wu. "Huamin, how is it?" "She's considered to have passed, but she still needs to be observed. As long as there's no major problem with her brain, other than 3 broken ribs, everything else is fine. The most important thing is that the child is safe. For the next 3 months, the patient has to stay in bed to protect the baby because she used a lot of medicine today." "Huamin, thank you." President Wu looked at Huamin gratefully. "No need. It's my duty. No, this is definitely not something you should do. In the past, Xiaoshua had always made things difficult for you, but you didn't take it to heart. It is truly rare. In the face of life, there is no distinction between friend and foe. I respect every life's right to live." Huamin borrowed Chin Chu's words. President Wu and Wu Xiaoshua's parents bowed deeply to Huamin and all the doctors who performed the operation. Ning Ziyuan stood at the end of the corridor and looked at Huamin at this moment. He suddenly felt that she was shining brightly. It seemed that he was destined to be unworthy of Huamin's advanced thinking and super-high medical ethics. "Thank you for your hard work. I'll get someone to send you back," President Wu offered. "No need. My family sent me here." Huamin smiled and politely declined President Wu's kindness. After Huamin washed his hands and changed his clothes, he tiredly walked downstairs, opened the door, and got into the front passenger seat. "How is it?" "Everything is fine. Miracle Dr. Hua, thank you for your hard work." Chin Chu lovingly pinched Huamin's chin. "It's not hard at all. Miracle Dr. Hua's husband is the one who has had a hard time. Let's go home. I'm so tired." After saying this, Huamin leaned against the front passenger seat and fell asleep. Everyone knew that surgery required high concentration. The 4-hour operation was even more tiring than playing badminton for a day. Chin Chu slowly drove away from the hospital. He lowered the volume of the music in the car to the minimum, afraid that it would disturb Huamin. Many people once questioned why such an outstanding person like Chin Chu would fall in love with such an ordinary person like Huamin. In fact, he really wanted to say that Huamin was not ordinary at all. No one could compare to the light that shone from her in an instant. In his heart, she would always be the most unique existence. The next day, when Huamin went to work, the first thing that Siyu said was, "I heard that you were very noble last night. You saved a female doctor who once ostracized you. You're quite well informed. The entire South Side is talking about it. I say, you're a good nurse. Why don't you take care of the patients and go to the operating room and pretend to be high and mighty? What? Do you really think that you're Huatuo, saving the world?" Suyu laughed as he pointed at Huamin. Chapter 249. What does it have to do with you whether I'm Huatuo or Bianke? Don't you think you're worrying too much? I'm just being nice and teaching you what the scope of your profession is. I'm also being nice and teaching you what it means to be a good person. Suyu was speechless. Suyu was once again defeated in a war of words, but he was already very calm. He seemed to have already treated arguing with Huamin as a pleasure in life. If they stopped arguing, he would feel that something was missing. Huamin looked at Suyu's data and placed the medicine on the tray. "Take your medicine on time. You're recovering very well. You can be discharged in about a week." "So soon?" Suyu was a little surprised. "What? You don't want to leave?" "Of course not. This stupid place is suffocating. I can't drink or pick up girls. I'm sick of it." "That's great. Then hurry up and get out of here. Don't let me see you again. I'm sick of serving you all these years." With that, Huamin held the notebook and turned to leave. Suyu calculated for a moment. He could leave in a week. That was fast. But why did he feel a little uncomfortable? When she heard that her son could be discharged, Lady Su brought a few maids and prepared a sumptuous seafood feast for her son. Even the bodyguards and a few nurses were lucky enough to taste the luxurious seafood feast. "Huamin, why don't you go? Everyone has a share. Lady Su is really nice. She's beautiful and gentle. Just the 4 caddies of Australian lobsters, there are a few. There's garlic, braised, and soup. It's simply luxurious. The seafood porridge is also delicious," the nurse, Tingting, said excitedly. "I don't want to eat. I don't have an appetite." Huamin was still in a state of fatigue, probably because he didn't rest well last night. Suyu looked around the room and pretended to ask casually, "Where's Huamin?" "Oh, she seems a little tired. She's resting at the duty station. Should I call her over?" "Young Master Su." "No need. Even if you don't eat it, I won't eat it," Suyu said insincerely. Midnight. Perhaps it was because he had eaten too much seafood and the cold air was too strong, but Suyu only felt a little dizzy. He felt cold all over. "Turn on the air conditioner," he ordered. The bodyguard immediately came in and turned on the air conditioner. 10 minutes later, he felt colder and colder. "Turn the air conditioner to the highest." Suyu was a little impatient. "Young master, it's already the highest temperature, 30 degrees, the bodyguard replied cautiously. "Then why is it still so cold?" Suyu pulled the quilt tightly and wrapped himself up. The bodyguard saw that the situation was not right and immediately ran to the duty station. Today, Huamin was on the night shift. She was bored and was watching a Korean drama, Descendants of the Sun. Then, like all women, she fell in love with Song Joong-ki oppa. Just as she was engrossed in watching, she suddenly heard a bodyguard jogging over. "Quick, take a look at my young master. Something's not right." Hwa-min immediately got up and followed the bodyguard to room 1. Although it was early autumn and the nights were cold, Soo-yu was speechless to have to turn the air conditioner to 30 degrees and cover himself with a quilt. It was rare that he was not in the mood to quarrel with Hwa-min. Hwa-min walked over to take a look at him and reached out to touch his forehead. It was frighteningly hot. "He has a fever." "Ha! Then what should we do?" "It's okay, I'll do it." After speaking, Hwa-min took out the thermometer that she always carried with her from the pocket of her lab coat. "Open your mouth." "What?" Soo-yu opened his eyes in a daze and saw Hwa-min's delicate face. "Take his temperature." "No." Soo-yu decisively refused. He was already an adult, yet he still needed to take his temperature. If word got out, he would be laughed at. Hwa-min did not wait for him to say anything. She directly pinched his chin and unceremoniously stuffed the thermometer into his mouth. Soo-yu was just about to vomit. "Don't vomit. Keep it in, or else I'll give you an injection." Hwa-min crossed her arms and fiercely threatened. Chapter 250. As expected, Soo-yu immediately became obedient and obediently held the thermometer in his mouth. Sometimes, he wondered if Hwa-min was born to be his nemesis. Why was he able to hit other women and blow their heads off, but when it came to her, he didn't have the temper? Was he under some kind of spell? Or was he under this woman's spell? Hwa-min pulled a stool over and sat in front of the bed, waiting for the results. Soo-yu glanced at her from time to time. Hwa-min lowered her head and continued to write the report seriously. Soo-yu picked up his phone and gently turned on the camera. Then, he turned off the sound of the camera. "Hwa-min." "Yeah." Hwa-min inadvertently looked up. The photo froze at this moment. The night wasn't very bright, so the image was a little hazy. However, Hwa-min's delicate features could still be seen clearly. Because her night vision was impaired, she wore black-framed glasses during her night shift. The nurse in the white shirt in the photo was frozen in Soo-yu's phone. This was the first time he saved a photo of a woman, and it was taken with his own hands. "What?" Hwa-min didn't know what was going on and asked. "Nothing, I just wanted to ask you what time it is." "Don't you have your own phone?" Hwa-min asked back. Then, she looked at the time and realized that it had been 5 minutes. She reached out and pulled the thermometer out of Soo-yu's mouth. "You're burning up. What's your temperature?" He was curious. 39.8 degrees. "It's almost 40. Will I become stupid from the fever?" "Based on the way you're talking to me, you're still far from being stupid." Soo-yu immediately rolled his eyes at Hwa-min. Couldn't she talk to him happily? "What do we do now? What unfulfilled wish do you have? Hurry up and tell me, Soo-yu, come here, I promise I won't strangle you to death." Soo-yu's eyes burned with anger. Hwa-min smiled. "You're still in good spirits. There won't be any problems. Let me bring down your fever physically." After that, Hwa-min turned around and left the ward. 5 minutes later, he returned with a tray full of messy things. "Do you need some fever medicine?" "No, fever medicine has side effects. Don't take it unless it's absolutely necessary. It's not good for the kidneys." Soo-yu nodded thoughtfully. "Indeed, I should take good care of my kidney." Hwa-min rolled his eyes at her. "It's good that you're sick. Don't think about nonsense. It's not good for you. This is the most basic physiological need of humans. What do you know? All right, Mr. Studhorse. What you need to do now is to shut up and lie down. Hua-min pushed Su-yu's head down without hesitation. Then, he took out a cold cooling patch and stuck it on his head. Instantly, he felt a cooling sensation that made him feel very comfortable. Then, Hua-min took out an ice cream and handed it over. Eat this. What? Ice cream. This is for women. I don't eat it. I hate sweets. This is for you to lower your temperature. Eat it like medicine. After that, Hua-min threw the ice cream onto Su-yu's body. It was so cold that he immediately picked it up. You're really, shoo, don't be noisy. Don't disturb my TV show. Hua-min took out his earphones and continued watching Descendants of the Sun. Su-yu lay on the bed with the cooling patch on his head and ate his ice cream. From time to time, he would glance at Hua-min. It was rare for her to sit so quietly by his side. Su-yu actually felt that time would be better if it slowed down a little. After about an hour, Hua-min had just finished watching an episode of a Korean drama. She took off her earphones and reached out to touch Su-yu's head. What do you guys think is the best gift for a woman? Jewelry. A branded watch. A Louis Vuitton bag. Money is the best gift. The 4 bodyguards all said the same thing, so you glanced at them faintly. If it were that simple, why would I need you guys to give me your opinions? You guys are so stupid. Su-yu had countless women by his side. How could he not know better than them how to coax them? So, young master, who are you planning to give it to? Is it the old madam? It's good for you to talk less. Su-yu glanced at the blockhead. He really thought that he was simple-minded and all brawn and no brains. Young master, why don't you buy 990 roses? Another bodyguard suggested. Do you want to open a flower shop? Su-yu looked up and said in a bad mood. The bodyguards gave a few answers, but none of them were satisfied. In the end, Su-yu waved his hand and chased them all out. Lying on the hospital bed, he thought to himself that Hua-min didn't care about money, so he had to give her something special. She worked so hard to take care of him tonight, so it was only right to give her a gift. Su-yu convinced himself. The next morning, Hua-min came to check on Su-yu before she got off work. She was relieved to see that he was in good spirits. Before she left, Su-yu suddenly asked, Hey, do you have any wishes? Chapter 252. Why? Just asking, to see if I can make your wish come true. Do you think you're the genie? You want to make my wish come true? Don't underestimate my power, my last name is Su-yu, Su-yu said arrogantly. He wasn't bragging. With his last name, he could do whatever he wanted in Sea City. Will you die if you don't brag? You're the first person to say I'm bragging. Come, tell me, what is your wish? Can you print my picture on a banknote? Su-yu, can you print Tiananmen Square with a picture of me and Grandpa Mao? Su-yu, can you ask Oba to give me an 8-toothed smile? Su-yu, you can't even fulfill 3 of my wishes, so why are you still pretending? Kid, think twice before you brag. Hua-min patted Su-yu's shoulder and walked out of the room. Su-yu thought that Hua-min wasn't normal. She was definitely not normal. He wanted to express his gratitude and give her a gift, but he couldn't have a pleasant conversation with this woman. When Hua-min got off work, she changed into her own clothes, got into her Volkswagen CC, backed up, and drove away handsomely. Speaking of which, her driving skills were pretty good. Upstairs, Su-yu had a cigarette in his mouth as he watched the white car drive away. Suddenly, he had an idea. When Hua-min got home, she didn't want to move, so she collapsed on the sofa. Huang Yu called to tell her that Wu Xiaoxue had woken up and that her brain was fine. The surgery last night was a success, and the ultrasound showed that the fetus was normal. When Huamin heard this, the corners of her lips curled up slightly. At least her efforts weren't in vain. When Qin Chu walked in, he saw Huamin curled up on the sofa, asleep. He walked over and covered her with a blanket. Then, he sat beside her and watched the stock market. When Huamin woke up, it was already 8:30 p.m. It's already so late, have you eaten? You're asking about supper. Or tomorrow's breakfast? Huamin scratched his head and got up to go into the kitchen. However, Qin Chu grabbed her arm and pulled her into his embrace. You seem very tired recently. Yes, I'm very sleepy on the night shift. That's why I said you should just quit. Do what you want to do. Don't be a nurse anymore. It's too tiring. But I don't want to start my own business. It's too worrisome. It's good to work. The company will also pay for insurance. I'll work until I'm 55, then I can retire and get a pension. There's nothing bad about it. That's all you've got. Qin Chu pinched Huamian's delicate nose and smiled. Are you hungry? I'll go cook. No need. It's already so late. I've ordered takeout. It'll be here soon. Just as he finished speaking, someone rang the doorbell. Huamin got up and jogged over. He took the food that Qin Chu ordered and immediately placed it on the table. What's the occasion today? There's so much food. She looked at the 8 dishes on the table and stared at Qin Chu. Chapter 253. At this moment, his phone rang. When she saw the caller ID, Huamin immediately picked it up. Zhu Lingling's calls always came at the right time. Lingling. Have you eaten? I'm eating. I should have called you earlier. I wanted to eat with you. Did something good happen? Huamin smiled. Of course, I changed my car. You changed your car. So fast. Did you get a raise? Why would I? With my lousy salary, a 50% raise is meaningless. That rich kid bought this for me. It's a black Mercedes-Benz GLK. Cool, right? Yeah, what about your Mazda 6? My dad drove it. He's been driving that crappy Hyundai for years. It's about time he changed it. That's good. After chatting with Zhu Lingling for a long time, she hung up the phone. Huamin asked, What did you say to me just now? Nothing. Qin Chu quietly cleaned up the dishes and returned to the study. Huamin felt a strong sense of guilt. She always avoided his topic on purpose. Because she didn't know how to answer, or because she was afraid that Qin Chu would be sad if she answered, she pretended to be dumb. But how long could she pretend like this? Would Qin Chu lose his patience one day? The next day, when Huamin went to work, she saw a lot of people crowding around the entrance. She curiously walked over to take a look. When they saw Huamin walk over, everyone tactfully made way for her. Then, Huamin saw a pink Lamborghini parked there. It was brand new. It looked like it just came out of the factory. Wow, whose car is it? It's so high profile. Huamin remembered that this pink Lamborghini was a limited edition in the world. The manufacturer wouldn't mass-produce it. She once saw in the newspaper that the heir of the Hilton Hotel in America, Paris Hilton, had one. At the time, the American media reported on it and made all the girls jealous. The car in front of him seemed to be different from the normal pink ones because the exterior of the car was covered with diamonds. Its entire body was sparkling. It was blinding. Is she pretty? Yes. Huamin nodded. Only then did he realize that the person talking to him was actually Suyu. It was rare for him to wake up so early in the morning instead of sleeping in. Was he here to show off his wealth? Just as she was wondering, she heard Suyu say, "I'll give it to you." After speaking, Suyu picked up the keys and shoved them into Huamin's hands. What's going on? Huamin was dumbfounded. Hurry up and change to your Volkswagen. Look at the entire southern district, your car is the poorest. This is a gift from me, do you like it? Why are you giving it to me? Huamin stared at Suyu. With so many people watching, Suyu was naturally embarrassed. Because I've been in the hospital for so long, and you're the one with the best skills. Anyway, I won't let you do all this for nothing. I don't want it. After speaking, Huamin shoved the keys back into Suyu's hands. Why? I don't deserve it. It's my job to take care of you. You're giving me such an expensive gift. Do you think it's a box of mooncakes or a pound of pork? After speaking, Huamin turned around and walked into the hospital. The onlooking nurses all gritted their teeth in hatred. They thought to themselves, is Huamin an idiot? Suyu was rejected in front of everyone and felt humiliated. What are you looking at? Go away. Then, he kicked the Lamborghini. Everyone's hearts ached as they watched. As expected, rich people were capricious. He bought the car from a friend at a high price. In order to exchange for this Lamborghini, he spent more than 15 million yuan. He even sacrificed 2 bottles of Lafite that he had treasured for many years, but this woman didn't appreciate it. She was fucking drunk. Huamin had just finished changing at the on-call desk when the young nurse, Nan Nan, ran over and said mysteriously, "Huamin, why didn't you want it? Do you know how expensive that car is? That's not an ordinary Lamborghini, it's an LP 670, 4SV. It's a limited edition worldwide, and it's a Swarovski diamond personally pasted by a genius Japanese designer. It was auctioned for 22 million yuan. What does that have to do with me?" Huamin didn't think much of it. Didn't you hear young Master Su say that it's a gift for you? Why didn't you want it, my dear sister? Nan Nan said regretfully. Chapter 254. I don't think my relationship with Suyu is good enough for me to accept something that's worth tens of millions. Indeed, Huamin was right. If Suyu had given her a box of milk or a box of mooncakes, she would have accepted it without hesitation. However, he gave her a car that was worth tens of millions. Why should she accept something that she didn't deserve? Are you stupid? Young Master Su is so generous, so of course he likes you. Why don't you take advantage of this opportunity? After you sleep with him, you can take anything that's expensive. Do you know how many women in our hospital dream of this opportunity? I don't know what other people think, but I won't. First of all, I have a boyfriend, so I won't do anything to betray him. Second of all, Suyu and I won't have any breakthroughs in our relationship. Also, I hope that this will end here. Don't spread this around. I'm scared that if the director hears about this, he'll fire me because of my bad behavior. Huamin, you're so stupid. If I were you, I would definitely take advantage of this opportunity. That's why Suyu doesn't like you. Huamin felt that a nurse like Nan Nan was pitiful. Many women worshipped money and dreamed of marrying into a rich family. However, some things couldn't be rushed. The more anxious you were, the less chance you had. Moreover, she believed that no man would like a woman who loved money purely and had a strong motive. Even if he was ugly, he would rather believe that his girlfriend was in love with him and not for money. Nan Nan was speechless by Huamin's words. During lunch break, Huamin sat in the back garden after lunch and played with her phone. Because it was Chinese Valentine's Day, many friends posted the red packets their boyfriends gave them. There were 13, 14, and 520 red packets. In short, there were all sorts of public displays of affection. Even Zhu Lingling cruelly posted a group photo and a 5,210 yuan transfer record. It was too cruel. After Huamin lamented for a while, she posted on her WeChat moments. She said, "I really want to ask the girl who posted her husband's red packets today, where did your husband's secret stash come from? Do you still want to live hiding so much behind his wife's back?" Zhu Lingling immediately replied, "You're just jealous. Is it because your almighty Qin didn't say anything?" Huamin was just about to reply when he received a notification of a transfer. Sure enough, it was sent by Qin Chu. Huamin checked the amount. 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, $131,400. Wasn't this lifetime a little too extravagant? Therefore, Huamin took a screenshot and sent it to Zhu Lingling. On the other end, he immediately replied, "Our friendship is over. Don't return. Ha ha ha, now it's your turn to be envious and jealous, right?" Huamin felt really good. Then, she replied to Qin Chu, "A husband who hides money behind his wife's back is not a good husband. Then I'll ask my lawyer to transfer GK's assets to you." Will your dad hack you to death?" "No, my dad will probably hack you to death," Qin Chu replied. Huamin was speechless. "Mr. Qin, stop messing around. I'm serious, you don't believe that I'll give GK to you?" "No, I don't believe that your dad will hack me to death," Huamin replied confidently. As expected, Qin Chu didn't reply. After a while, Huamin sent him another message, "Hubby. What? Your bank card is amazing, you can transfer so much money. Why is my WeChat account only able to transfer 10,000 at most? What bank is yours? I'll get one too. The first Royal MasterCard Black Card in Dubai. This name sounds so high and mighty. Yeah, it's a diamond and gold-plated credit card. There's no limit to how much money you can spend. Okay, you win. I'll get you a secondary card later." No, I have enough money. I'm afraid that I'll steal all your money. Steal it all you want. I'm yours anyway, why do you care about money? Mr. Rich, let's be friends, Huamin joked. Sure, to show your sincerity, give me a child first. Fuck off. As the couple played around, their love boat capsized. After sending Qin Chu a WeChat message, she was in a good mood. She stood up, put her phone in her pocket, and walked back while humming a song. Upstairs, Suyu saw Huamin's blissful smile and was almost certain that she had a boyfriend. But why couldn't he find anything even after asking so many people to investigate? Could it be that someone was hiding it on purpose? Also, this person was very capable and could hinder his subordinate's efficiency. "Young master, Miss Xiao Qingya is here. Let her in." Suyu turned around, his eyes cold as usual. Chapter 255. President Su. Xiao Qingya was one of the most popular actresses. Because she starred in 3 palace dramas, she became one of the 4 most popular actresses in China. She looked pure and sweet, and she was only 24 years old, the same age as Huamin. Imperial Star had a lot to do with the fact that she was able to rise to fame in 3 years. Apparently, she risked her life to stop Suyu's car, which gave her a chance to become famous. If it weren't for Suyu's excellent driving skills and his timely braking, Xiao Qingya would have been killed. Not many people dared to imitate her reckless actions. It was her courage that piqued Suyu's interest in her. As one of Suyu's girlfriends, Xiao Qingya was one of his favorites. Because she was obedient and knew when to stop, she had been with Suyu for 3 years. She had made a name for herself in the entertainment industry, and no one dared to break the rules with her. Those who didn't know the truth thought that this girl came from a rich family. However, everyone in the industry knew that she was Suyu's toy, the kind that could be eliminated at any time. Suyu turned around and didn't say anything. She immediately put down her Chanel bag, walked over in small steps, and helped Suyu to the bed. I just came back from filming overseas. I heard that you'll be discharged soon. That's great news. Zhao Qingya's voice was pleasant, like a baby's voice. Suyu didn't seem to be in the mood, so he only grunted. When I was filming in Nanling, I saw that this lighter was really fun. It's an antique and has a lot of local characteristics, so I bought one for you. Zhao Qingya took out a lighter from her bag and handed it to him as if she was presenting a treasure. Suyu took it and hit it twice. His face was expressionless, and no one could tell if he was happy or angry. My movie's premiere is next month. Can you go? Zhao Qingya looked at Suyu coquettishly. I'll see. Zhao Qingya nodded and didn't dare to say anything else. Perhaps she could tell that Suyu wasn't in a good mood. Haven't you always said that you like pink Lamborghini? I'll give you the one outside. Ha! Zhao Qingya didn't expect Suyu to say that. She was stunned. When she had first walked in, she had indeed seen a diamond-studded pink Lamborghini at the entrance. At that time, she had wondered which woman was so lucky. So it was Suyu's car, for me. Zhao Qingya found it hard to believe. Yes, it's yours. Thank you, President Su. Zhao Qingya quickly kissed Suyu on the cheek. Suyu grabbed a tissue and immediately wiped off the fragrant lipstick. I'm sorry, President Su. I'm just too happy to receive such an expensive gift from you. You can drive it away in a while. Suyu's tone had always been very low, as if he was not in the mood. Thank you, President Su. Zhao Qingya thanked him several times in a row. It was obvious that she was very excited. She could already imagine that when she drove out later and was photographed by the media, it would definitely make the headlines. By then, all the women in the industry would be jealous of her. Who told her to be lucky enough to work for Suyu? Suyu indeed had a bad temper. Most of the time, she felt like she was serving an emperor. She had to be very careful, afraid that she would make a mistake. However, compared to the things she would receive, it was all worth it. After all, the fame and fortune that Suyu brought to her were things that many women would never be able to obtain in their lifetime. Seeing the unconcealable happiness on Zhao Qingya's face, Suyu was even more certain that all women liked luxury. But why was Huamin an exception? Why couldn't she be as obedient as Zhao Qingya? Zhao Qingya stayed in the room for 3 hours. Before she left, she specially touched up her makeup. When she passed by the on-call desk, she glanced at Huamin and suddenly asked, "Are you Huamin?" "I am. I heard that you've been taking care of President Su all this time." Zhao Qingya vaguely heard that Suyu had been treating a nurse named Huamin differently recently. However, she could understand. With Suyu's status, he was only fooling around with nurses while he was in the hospital. He wouldn't take it seriously. Yes. Huamin nodded. As his girlfriend, I'm very grateful that you've been taking care of my boyfriend. I just bought this wallet. I haven't used it for a few days. You can have it. Then, before Huamin could say anything, Zhao Qingya threw a Prada wallet in front of Huamin as if she was giving alms to a beggar. "Miss Zhao, wait," Huamin yelled. "Do you want my autograph or a photo?" Zhao Qingya asked arrogantly as she turned around. Chapter 256. Neither, I just want you to take your wallet back, I can't accept it. Huamin shoved the wallet into Zhao Qingya's hands. Is it because the hospital doesn't allow you to accept gifts? It's okay, this isn't a bribe, it's a gift from me. No, it's my own problem. Thank you for your kindness, Miss Zhao. Zhao Qingya held on to the wallet, feeling a little uncomfortable. She thought that she could show off as Su Yu's girlfriend and scare the nurse away. After all, she was one of Su Yu's women who had been with him for a long time. However, the nurse didn't want to accept the gift. Did that mean that she still hadn't given up on Su Yu? Did she still want to get more benefits from Su Yu? At that thought, Zhao Qingya's face darkened. She looked at Huamin from head to toe and said, I thought you were a smart person who knew when to stop, but it seems like you're just an idiot who wants to climb up the social ladder. You're not the prettiest woman in the world, nor are you the daughter of a famous family. Where did you get the confidence to continue pestering Su Yu? A smart woman would retreat at the last moment. She would take advantage of the fact that President Su was not tired of playing with her. Otherwise, she would be abandoned in the future, and her ending would be even worse than now. If she accidentally angered him, she might not be able to stay in Sea City in the future. So, did she really not plan to stop while she was ahead? Do you really want to compete with me? Or, do you think you're prettier than me and more popular than me? Zhao Qingya's hostile words made Huamin sigh slightly. She sighed. Why was it that in the eyes of these women, the most important thing was always related to men? Couldn't they have their own thoughts? Miss Zhao, I think you've misunderstood something. Su Yu and I don't care about what's going on between you and President Su. President Su has so many women, I'm used to it. But I just want to remind you not to have too many fantasies. President Su isn't a man that ordinary women can control. You're on your own. Then, Zhao Qingya put on her sunglasses and walked away. Huamin was speechless. Hua Xiqian had told him the same thing, and now Zhao Qingya was telling him the same thing. The problem was, when did they see anything between her and Su Yu? She thought that she treated Su Yu better than Uncle Lu in the next room. At least, she was nice to Uncle Lu, and they often played chess together. Zhao Qingya drove away in a pink Lamborghini and made the headlines that night. Imperial Star's boss, President Su Yu's limited edition Lamborghini. The news about Zhao Qingya and Su Yu's wedding had been hyped up. Ever since Zhao Qingya's debut, her PR team had been hyping it up. Zhao Qingya had never responded to it directly, but every time this news came out, it would benefit Zhao Qingya's social status and the Gu Corporation of Imperial Star. It was Su Yu's way of hyping things up. After all, Zhao's best SSSS. However, everyone in the industry knew that this was fake news. It was impossible for Zhao Qingya to marry into the Su family. Old Master Su was the head of the military region, and his family had strict rules. He said that his granddaughter-in-law could be in any profession, except for the entertainment industry. It was said that Su Yu was very obedient to his grandpa, so he only listened to romantic news to relieve his boredom. If he really did lose, he would lose. That night, when Huamin was on duty, Nan Nan held the newspaper and complained, "Look, young Master Su gave away something you didn't want. That's tens of millions. What a pity, I feel bad for you. It wasn't mine to begin with." "It's not a pity." Huamin smiled. "You're such a weirdo. I really have to hand it to you. You're not even moved by the rich and powerful. You really love your boyfriend, don't you?" Nan Nan looked at Huamian with an exasperated expression. Huamin smiled but did not respond. The truth was, even if Qin Chu didn't exist, she still wouldn't have accepted Su Yu. She hated the fights between rich families. If she didn't even want to go back to the Hua family, why would she want to marry into the rich and powerful Su family? While he was on duty, someone in room 2 suddenly pressed the emergency bell. Huamin rushed over like the wind, thinking that Uncle Lu was in an emergency. When he went in, he saw that Uncle Lu was not only fine, but he was also munching on an apple. There was also a mother-in-law of Uncle Lu's age standing by the bed. She was dressed elegantly and looked kind. Hua-mi knew that she was Uncle Lu's wife. Apparently, she just came back from Hawaii. He had seen her photo on Uncle Lu's phone before, so he was familiar with her. Uncle Lu, what's going on? Hua-min was confused. Come here, Hua-mian, sit down. We have good news to announce, said Uncle Lu mysteriously. What good news? Hua-min looked at the old couple suspiciously. Chapter 257. Uncle Lu put down the unfinished apple in his hand and looked at Hua-min with a smile. Since you've been taking good care of me, playing chess with me, and watching me take my medicine, my wife and I have decided to introduce you to a boyfriend. I've been observing you, and you have a good personality. Out of all the nurses in the hospital, you're the most reliable one. You dress plainly, and most importantly, you're not ostentatious. Not many young people are like you these days. That's right. Our family's old Lu has always told me how good you are. I believe that his taste is not wrong. Hey, wait, Uncle Lu, Don't say anything, listen to me. My grandson is already married, so there's no chance of you getting together. However, my fourth brother has a grandson who is about your age. He's an honest guy, and he's serving in the Air Force. He's a company commander now, and he's young and promising. Most importantly, he will continue to be promoted in the future. He lives in S City, and when you get married, if you don't want to live in S City, you can continue to work and live here. It's so close, so it won't be a problem. Hua-min was sweating profusely. What was going on? They hadn't even met yet, but they were already talking about marriage. The problem was, she was already married. Uncle Lu was trying to matchmake her. Hua-min immediately stood up. Uncle Lu, I'm sorry, I know you're a little embarrassed, so I booked everything for you. My grandson is coming over tomorrow. You two can meet and chat when he comes to visit me. Young people always have things to talk about. It would be best if you two can get together, but if not, you can at least make friends. Uncle Lu was quite open-minded. Uncle Lu's boss chimed in, that's right. That kid is definitely reliable. He's a little old-fashioned, but he's very reliable. Don't worry, we won't cheat you. I know you mean well, but the problem is, I'm all ready. Oh, turn on the TV. Don't miss the news. Uncle Lu slapped his forehead and immediately looked for the remote control. Uncle Lu's wife also got busy and ignored Hua-min's protest. Hua-min quietly walked out of the hospital room. It seemed like she was going to have another ridiculous blind date. If Mr. Chin found out, he would probably beat her to death. She shuddered at the thought. The next morning, sure enough, before Hua-min got off work, Uncle Lu's grandson came. In order to lighten the mood, Uncle Lu purposely asked the two of them to take a walk in the back garden and chat. Hello, my name is Lu Ji. The man with a square face and a dark temper took the initiative to introduce himself. Hello, my name is, you're Hua-mian, right? I heard from my third grandpa that you're a very special girl. No, it's just that my temper is a little worse than the other nurses. I'm a little impatient. Hua-min smiled. It's good to be in a hurry. Impatient people have a sense of time and won't be late. I hate people who are late the most. In our army, we can't make any mistakes. Yes, I heard from Grandpa Lu that you're a company commander. You're quite impressive. What's so great about that? My military rank is the lowest in my family. My goal is to become a regiment commander at the very least. Hua-min nodded. She didn't have anything to say and felt a little awkward. Then what do you think of me? To be honest, I don't have time to date in the army. So, if I'm interested in a girl, I'll just ask for her opinion. Don't mind my recklessness, the square-faced man suddenly said straightforwardly. Chapter 258. Huamin bit his lips, looked up, and said, "You're great, but I already have a boyfriend." Huh? The square-faced guy was confused. "I wanted to tell you yesterday, but Uncle Lou didn't give me the chance. I'm so sorry." "It's okay, it's not too late to tell you now. You're very honest. We have to be honest. I'm really sorry if I caused you any trouble. Don't worry about it, the men in the Lou family aren't promiscuous or perverted. We still have to be tolerant." Huamin, although the square-faced guy wasn't good with words and wasn't as pretentious as the forensic doctor, he was still a weirdo. Every sentence he said was classic, and Huamin almost laughed out loud. After the two of them finished talking, they walked back and unexpectedly bumped into Su Yu at the door. Blind date. While Su Yu was taking a walk, he heard a few gossipy nurses secretly gossip about Huamin's blind date. He was so angry that he wasn't even in the mood to take a walk, so he went straight to the back garden. Before Huamin could answer, Su Yu glanced at the shoulder patch on the square-faced guy's military uniform and sneered, "Just a company commander?" "Yes, company commander." The square-faced guy nodded. "I say, Huamin couldn't stand it anymore and wanted to say something. However, Su Yu said recklessly, "A company commander wants to come to South Side to pick up girls. Who gave you the confidence? Don't you know that any of the patients here can earn more in a month than you can in your entire life? Su Yu, you're crossing the line." Huamin warned him with a dark expression. The square-faced guy was Uncle Lou's grandson, so why did he have to be so sarcastic? "Huamin, this is your boyfriend, right? But I think you should reconsider if you want to continue with him. Men who are too narrow-minded usually don't have much potential." After speaking, the square-faced gentleman and Huamin nodded and left. Normally, Su Yu would fly into a rage after hearing this, but he was exceptionally calm today. This was because that brat actually mistook him for Huamin's boyfriend. He was very happy about this. Huamin was so angry that he turned around and wanted to leave, but Su Yu shamelessly blocked his way. "A good pig doesn't block the way." "Move aside," Huamin said angrily. Su Yu raised his eyebrows. "Good pig? Shouldn't it be that a good dog doesn't block the way? I think your character is far inferior to dogs. Dogs are our best friends, but obviously, you are not." "Huamin, I'm in a good mood today. I won't hold anything against you. I'll pardon you. But I'm not in a good mood today. Move aside, I'm going home after work." "Damned girl, wait, I have something to say." "Hurry up, I don't have much time." Looking at his watch, Huamin only wanted to go home as soon as possible so that he could make a delicious breakfast for Chin Chu. "I'll be discharged in a few days." When Su Yu said this, the shock on his face returned to seriousness. He was a special patient. He never wore a hospital gown because he thought it was too low class. Every day, he would change into luxurious branded clothes. He was very handsome. The female nurses at Southside were often mesmerized by Su Yu's appearance. Even if he inadvertently glanced at a nurse, that nurse would remain silent and infatuated for the entire day. Huamin didn't pay attention to what Su Yu wore every day because her attention wasn't on Su Yu. However, standing face to face with the sun shining brightly today, it wasn't easy to ignore him. Different from Chin Chu, Su Yu liked white, light coffee, khaki, beige, and a series of bright colors. These colors looked especially good on him. Wearing a custom-made Ferragamo white long-sleeved shirt with English letters printed on it, it was simple but luxurious. Su Yu was the kind of man who was born with a temperament. Even if he wore clothes from a street stall that cost 20 yuan, others would think that it was a luxury item worth more than 100,000 yuan. Congratulations, you should be discharged soon. Huamin immediately agreed. Before I leave the hospital, I have something to tell you. Speak. Huamin stared at Su Yu in confusion. She felt that he was a little strange today. Su Yu cleared his throat. He was obviously a little nervous because the women around him had always taken the initiative to come to him. Since he was young, he had never taken the initiative to make a move, so he was a little at a loss. Big brother, if you don't say it, I'm leaving. Seeing Su Yu hesitate, Huamin lost her patience. Huamin, follow me from now on, okay? I'll be good to you. After Su Yu said this, he immediately turned his face to the side, afraid to look into Huamin's eyes. Huamin's raised foot stopped in place, was Su Yu, confessing to her. Chapter 259. It was probably Su Yu's first time confessing to someone, so he was more reserved. He didn't say anything sappy like, or love, he only said, if you follow me from now on, I'll treat you well. How could Huamin not understand such simple and straightforward words? After a while, Huamin turned around and said, are you addicted to cheating? What? Su Yu furrowed his brows. Don't you have a girlfriend? Now you're saying these things to me, isn't that cheating? In our country, monogamy is the norm. If you cheat, you'll be called a scumbag. For the sake of your image, please don't do this. Those aren't real girlfriends, they're just women at most. Su Yu was very clear about this. All these years, including Zhao Qingya, his relationship with those women was all about money and sex. He was just trying to pass the time. None of them were sincere, they were all tricks. Therefore, Su Yu didn't think that he was cheating. On the other hand, Huamin made it sound very serious. Oh, then maybe I'm out of date, but I have a boyfriend too. I don't want to be called a scumbag for cheating. Also, the most important thing is that I won't leave my boyfriend. Our relationship is very good and stable. Thank you for your love. I wish you good health and a happy career. With that, Huamin walked away. Good health. A happy career. What a weird woman. Did she have to be so different even when rejecting someone? Su Yu's face completely darkened. His first confession in his life was like a bucket of cold water being poured over him. When he returned to his room, he was still depressed. He took out his phone and asked in a WeChat group that he had a good relationship with. I like a girl, but she has a boyfriend. What should I do? Force her, love comes from sleeping with her, the first guy replied. Snatch her, no one in C City is your match, whether it's in terms of money or looks, the second guy replied. Give her boyfriend a sum of money and let her ask for it. Then you take advantage of the situation, the third guy replied. Just ask her what she wants and fulfill all her wishes. Then, sleeping with her won't be a problem, the fourth guy replied. Although what they said made sense, Su Yu felt that it wouldn't work on Huamin. If he forced, it would damage his charisma. With his looks and family background, why would he need to force someone else? Wouldn't he be laughed at if he told others? It would be too blunt to take it by force. With Huamian's personality, if she couldn't get it, they would become enemies. Would there be a future? Give her boyfriend a sum of money. Although he didn't know what Huamian's boyfriend did for a living, he hadn't been able to find out anything about him. Just this fact alone told him that her boyfriend wasn't a simple man. He definitely had a powerful background. He had tried to fulfill any of her wishes before, and she even mocked him for being the genie. Therefore, in summary, none of these were valid. It was equivalent to asking for nothing. Su Is there a beauty in C City S Su Su? Why is young Master Su so sad? One of his friends gossiped. As one of the four princes, Wei Liao had a good relationship with Su Yu. When he saw Su Yu's message in the group, he sent a laughing emoji. Then, he said, men don't care about loyalty, they just don't have enough temptation. Women don't care about loyalty, they just don't have enough leverage to betray. If you have enough leverage, there's nothing you can't do. After Su Yu read it, he thought about it and still felt depressed. After he was discharged from the hospital, it would probably be even harder to see Huamin. Huamin was going to go straight back to Imperial Park after work, but she received a call from Jixin. She immediately went to Jixin's school. Jixin was standing in front of a yellow sports car, looking at his sister with a heavy heart. Sis, is my car pretty? Where did you get it? Huamin frowned, seemingly unhappy. A few days ago, a company sponsored our school to design an eco-friendly electric car. My design won first place, and this is the sponsor's reward. Isn't that a good thing? Your expression doesn't look right. Huamin immediately saw through her brother's thoughts. Jixin lowered his head and thought about it. Then, he said, Sis, I don't want to lie to you. The sponsor is GK Corporation. Upon hearing this, Huamin's expression changed slightly. Qin Chu didn't think much of it. He did mention it before, but Huamin didn't agree at all. But I didn't agree. It's not a gift to you. Why does it matter if you agree or not? Huamin sighed slightly and sat down next to Qin Chu. It's not right. He's still a student. You can't spoil him too much. I'm not spoiling him too much. That's why I gave him such a cheap car. If I really spoiled him, I would have given him a Porsche. Huamin only said one word when she saw Qin Chu look up at her with a sharp gaze. She immediately changed her words. Honey, you'll spoil him too much. He's your brother, so he's my brother. There's nothing wrong with spoiling him. Huamian could understand Qin Chu's love for Huamian, and she knew that he loved Huamian. But you'll make him feel like he's reaping without sowing. Then let him reap without sowing. After he graduates, he won't have to work anymore. Let him do whatever he wants. You can't do that. He's a man. He has to be responsible. You should know better than me what kind of person your brother is. He's innocent and kind. He won't do anything bad just because he has an extra car. Don't overthink it. But Huamin wanted to say more, but Qin Chu interrupted her. I'm hungry. Honey, can you prepare dinner for me? Qin Chu looked at Huamin with wide eyes. Huamin finally gave in. Huamin got up and ran into the kitchen. Qin Chu smiled triumphantly. He knew how to change the subject as well. While they were eating, Huamin casually said, Jixin said today that he wants me to move back in with them. So this kid is biting the hand that feeds him. Qin Chu's face darkened. His brother-in-law, who just took his car, wanted to take his wife back to her parents' home. This brother-in-law was crazy, okay? Chapter 261. Of course not, Jixin doesn't even know that we're married. He thinks that I'm renting an apartment by myself and is quite worried about me. So, I think you should tell him when you have time. Otherwise, he might suddenly have other ideas in the future. Huamin smiled. He knew what Qin Chu was referring to, but, about the car, I think it's better. About the car, you two can talk about it. If you think that he's too extravagant, you can switch cars with him. Huamin immediately shut his mouth. Driving a Volkswagen was already extravagant enough, did he really want to switch to a yellow sports car? She would drown in the saliva of the nurses at Southside. They would definitely think that she switched cars because she had a sugar daddy. She didn't want to talk to Chin Chu about Jishin's car. The truth was, in Chin Chu's opinion, if it weren't for the fact that he didn't want Huamin to be unhappy, he really would have given Jing Jishin a Porsche. Otherwise, if people found out that he was Chin Chu's brother-in-law and drove a car that cost a few 100,000 yuan, wouldn't he feel embarrassed? Yes, he still had to slowly instill the idea of switching cars into Huamin's head. Next time, he would do some research and get his wife a new car. Otherwise, every time he saw Huamin's Volkswagen, he would feel like he was dancing in a show. After dinner, Huamin took a shower and went to bed. She had been staying up too much lately and didn't sleep well, so she had dark circles under her eyes. She walked to the counter in the bathroom, took out the eye cream that Chin Chu prepared for her, and rubbed it over and over again. Finally, she lay on the bed. Chin Chu was still working in the study. When Chin Chu finished, he was surprised to see that Huamin was still awake. He was watching a variety show on his phone. "You're still awake?" "Yeah, I slept too much during the day. Your biological clock is upside down." Chin Chu felt a little bad. Then, he climbed onto the bed and naturally wrapped his arms around Huamin's shoulders. "You're done. Are you tired?" "I'm used to it. It's just work. You haven't been home much recently. Won't your parents be unhappy?" Huamin asked carefully. "If I leave and you're alone at home, I'll be worried. I'll just go there for dinner once in a while," Chin Chu said as he gently stroked Huamin's hair. His movements were very gentle. "If we could turn back time 7 years ago, would you still choose to know me?" Huamin suddenly asked sadly. Chin Chu thought for a moment and replied seriously, "If we could turn back time 7 years ago, I would have gone to get the visa a week earlier. Then, we would have gone to the United States together. That way, we wouldn't have missed the next 7 years." In Chin Chu's opinion, being separated from Huamin for 7 years was the biggest regret in his life. Huamin buried her head in Chin Chu's chest, an indescribable feeling in her heart. She felt sad and touched. "What about you? If we could turn back time, would you still want to be with me?" Chin Chu suddenly asked without confidence. He was a little worried about Huamin's answer. If they could turn back time and not be together, Huamin's stepfather wouldn't have died. Perhaps Huamin would still be a happy family of 4. Huamin tightened her arms around Chin Chu's waist. After a while, she said, "I don't regret anything that I've done in the past. Even though I know it's a tragedy, if we could turn back time, I would still be stubborn. I believe that it wasn't a coincidence that you were able to appear in front of me in the vast sea of people. This is fate, our destiny." After hearing this, Chin Chu didn't say anything. He just hugged Huamin tightly. In the middle of the night in early autumn, they hugged each other tightly like this, as if they were especially afraid of losing each other. Some things weren't scary if you couldn't get them. What was scary was losing them after you got them. Huamin suddenly realized that if one day she was forced to leave Chin Chu, her heart would be in so much pain that it would suffocate her, because she really wanted to have a man like this. She wanted to be by his side for the rest of her life. The next day, when Huamin went to work, a few nurses surrounded her with mysterious smiles on their faces. "What's wrong? You guys?" Huamin was puzzled. "Huamin, congratulations on your promotion. You have to treat us to a big meal when you get back," one of the nurses said with a smile. "Promotion?" Huamin was confused. Chapter 262. "Yeah, you don't know yet, right? We heard about it a long time ago. That's why I say you're not up to date." I really didn't know." Min rarely paid attention to the hospital's gossip. He was only responsible for taking care of the patients in his own area, so it was understandable that he wasn't up to date. You should be careful this time. Ting will probably be pissed off. She applied for it a few times before but never got it. Now that you're suddenly promoted, she'll probably be pissed at you. Yeah, Ting and Nan are different. Nan only cares about money and wants to hook up with a rich husband. She doesn't plan on staying in the hospital for long. Ting, on the other hand, is different. She cares more about power and wants to take the opportunity to climb up the ranks. You have to be careful. After speaking, the nurses giggled and left. The truth was, Min wasn't particularly close to them. He just lived nearby and would sometimes go over to help. The only ones who were really in the orthopedics department were Ting, Nan, and Xiaomei. After Xiaomei was injured, she was replaced by a nurse from another department. That nurse was called Wang Xiaoyan. She didn't talk much and didn't interact much with Min. Just as he was thinking, the head nurse, Song Lin, suddenly walked over. Min, come with me. Inside the department, Min, I'm sure you already know about your promotion. The hospital will officially announce it at noon. Promotion. Min was still a little confused. Yes, from today onwards you'll be the head nurse of the orthopedics department. What about you? Min was surprised. Song Lin smiled. I've been transferred to the finance department as the director. That's great, congratulations. Thank you. Song Lin was obviously in a good mood. There are 2 reasons for your promotion. First, it's because the patients you're taking care of jointly recommended you to the hospital. This means that Uncle Lu in room 2 said a lot of good things about you. Young Master Su didn't say much, but he gave you an A on your evaluation form. It's obvious that he's very satisfied with you. Your performance in the past few days has been outstanding, so I gave you an A on your evaluation form as well. But most importantly, it was President Wu's recommendation that allowed me to get promoted so quickly. President Wu. That's right, Director Wu thinks highly of you. Now that you've been promoted, you have to work even harder as the head nurse. As for your salary, it's going to be 12,000 yuan a month, and you'll also get all sorts of other benefits. In short, do your best. Thank you, head nurse. Oh, no, thank you, Director Song. Min smiled and scratched his head. Song Lin's transfer should have been carried out a long time ago, but there was no one to take over. Now that Min was here, she was relieved. Otherwise, she would be worried about leaving it to these unreliable girls. Ting might be a little emotional, so please bear with her when the time comes, Song Lin reminded. I know. Very good, then go to work. Good luck. After walking out of the department, Min had mixed feelings. After saving Wu Xiaoxue last time, she hadn't seen President Wu. She didn't expect to be promoted so suddenly. Although it wasn't a particularly good position, for a 24-year-old girl like Min, it was still surprising that she could become the head nurse of a tertiary-grade hospital. At the on-call desk, Ting was talking to the other nurses. When she saw Min, she immediately sneered, "Congratulations on your promotion." Thank you. You're different from young Master Su. It's good to have someone to protect you. Ting, what do you mean by that? Min smiled. Don't you know what I mean? Why are you pretending? Everyone in the hospital knows about your relationship with young Master Su. But Min, you're really something. There are so many beautiful girls in our hospital. You're really lucky that young Master Su likes you. So you're jealous of me right now? Min looked at Wang Ting and asked. I'm really confused. Since you're with young Master Su, why don't you go live a good life? Why are you still at Southside? It's so hard for you to be the head nurse. You should really be the young lady of the Su family. After Wang Tingting said this, the young nurses smiled, but I like being the head nurse of South Side. I think this position suits me very well. Huamin stared into Wang Tingting's eyes and said, word for word. Chapter 263. You. Wang Tingting was obviously enraged. Tingting, people are all like this. If you respect me, I'll respect you. I know you're not happy about it, but I didn't do anything to get promoted. It was the hospital's decision. Isn't that because President Wu favors you? Everyone says that you had an affair with President Wu back at the first hospital. Wang Tingting was so angry that she didn't choose her words carefully. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. You sound so convincing, but do you have any evidence? Plus, if I really had an affair with President Wu, do you think I would still be the head nurse? Maybe you're just trying to show off. I don't want to explain too much. Anyways, if we can get along well, then we're colleagues. If you can't stand me and think that saying nasty things every day makes you feel better, then you can continue. But, in the future, when you're on duty, don't ask me for help. I won't help you even once. I don't need your help either. Do you really think I'm Huatuo? Fine, we'll see. Huamin understood people like Wang Tingting very well. Just like He-Man, she was the type with a dark heart. On the surface, she was nice to you, but she just couldn't stand you doing better. If you did better than her, then she wouldn't be happy. Therefore, there was no need to be afraid of people like her. There was no need to argue with them. It was best to just ignore them. Especially now that Wang Tingting was under Huamin. If she wanted to torture Wang Tingting, she had hundreds of ways to do so. But she didn't want to, because she felt that it was too boring. If a person thought about scheming against others and taking revenge on others every day, then their life would be ruined. A person who lived in hatred and resentment would not have a future. Huamin wasn't that stupid. From the first day that Su Yu was hospitalized, other than Huamin, no one else was allowed to enter his room. Gradually, Huamin became Su Yu's personal nurse, even though she never really took care of him. But to Su Yu, she was already a special existence. Routine ward rounds. How are you feeling today? Are you feeling unwell? No. Su Yu didn't seem to be in a good mood. He kept playing with his phone. You must take your medicine on time and pay attention to your injured knee. You can't do any strenuous exercise for a while. Hearing this, Su Yu looked up at Huamin and asked, so what do you mean by strenuous exercise? I don't quite understand. Can you make it clearer? Huamin understood what he was implying, and his cheeks burned. Don't run or jump, and don't race. It's very dangerous. If it recurs, it will be even more serious than this time. Really? Then, what if it was a physiological aspect? Can I just be a little more passive? Su Yu asked mischievously. Sorry, this is not my job scope. You can ask experts in this field. After speaking, Huamin turned around and walked out. Suddenly, she thought of something and turned around to look at Su Yu. Su Yu, thank you for your A. After speaking, she opened the door and left. Su Yu had a complicated expression on his face. He really should have picked D's on the evaluation form and given her a terrible review. However, he just couldn't bring himself to do it. In all fairness, Huamin was a very competent medical staff. If he gave her D's and gave her a bad review, it would mean that he was using his position to get even with her because she rejected him. That would make him seem ungentlemanly. Young master, Mrs. Hua sent someone over to help you pack your things. You'll be discharged tomorrow. Come in. Su Yu didn't seem to be in the mood. After living here for so long, he suddenly didn't want to leave. He wasn't excited about returning to his luxurious nightlife, and he wasn't happy about being able to do whatever he wanted. All of this was because of a brat named Hwamin. In the afternoon, Hwamin was writing down the next month's duty schedule in the department. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. "Come in." When Hwamin looked up and saw who it was, he froze and was very surprised. "Why are you here?" Chapter 264. Why can't I be here? Wu Xiaoxue was wearing a black dress and a red beret. Her belly was slightly swollen due to her pregnancy, and it was obvious that she was pregnant. "Oh, what's up?" Hwamin didn't want to argue with Wu Xiaoxue because she had a lot of work to do. "I just passed by a Hong Kong-style restaurant, so I brought you some afternoon tea." After speaking, Wu Xiaoxue placed the bags of food on the table. Hwamin glanced at the bags. There was quite a lot of food: milk tea, desserts, and macarons. "Wu Xiaoxue, did the sun rise from the west today?" "What are you doing?" Hwamin put down the pen in her hand. She was no longer in the mood to write. "Know how to repay kindness," Wu Xiaoxue said simply. Hwamin immediately understood what she meant. To be honest, she never thought that Wu Xiaoxue would be grateful. She thought that she would say that she was meddling in other people's business. "No need, I would have saved anyone," Hwamin said nonchalantly. "Hwamin, I really admire you. If it were me, I definitely wouldn't save a love rival, especially when I was against you in the past. That's why you're not me." Hwamin smiled. "Uncle is right, you're an amazing woman. I, Wu Xiaoxue, have never admired anyone in my life, but you really made me look at you in a different light. If it weren't for you, I know that the child wouldn't still be here." After speaking, Wu Xiaoxue subconsciously rubbed her belly. "That's why you need to be careful when you drive in the future. You're pregnant." "I will. Anyways, thank you. You're Ning Ziyuan's ex, and I will continue to hate you. But that's that. You saved me, and I'm not an ungrateful person. I owe you this time, and if I need you in the future, I will repay you." "No need, I didn't want you to repay me when I saved you. I hate how arrogant you are, as if you're the savior of the world. As long as you save the world, you don't need the world to repay you. But I finally understand why you're so successful." Hwamin didn't say anything because she suddenly didn't know what to say. "I heard that you were promoted. Emichim, work hard. I hope that one day, I can compete with you in the operating room. Everyone says that you're good, but I'm not convinced. I'll wait for the day you become a doctor, and I'll work hard too." After speaking, Wu Xiaoxue didn't wait for Hwamin's and left. Looking at the tea on the table, Hwamin's lunch, Wu Xiaoxue was a person's she's, but at least she could tell right from wrong. Knowing that she was the one who saved her life, perhaps that was enough. Ans was, to save T, tus to tess, to save TSSS+, she was Ning Ziyuan's wife after all. No matter what happened in the past, she couldn't ignore two lives like a stranger. After another night's shift, 10 luxury cars arrived at Southside at dawn. They were all luxury sports cars like Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and Porsches. One of them was a limited edition Rolls-Royce Phantom. Apparently, it was Lady Sue's car. Suyu was being discharged from the hospital today. Everyone knew about it. The welcoming ceremony was very grand. Suyu was almost fully recovered, so he walked out of the room without anyone's help. He walked very slowly because he really wanted to see Hwamin send him off and say something to him. However, after looking around, he didn't see Hwamin. "Young master, Miss Hua went to a morning meeting," one of the bodyguards reminded him. "Why are you talking so much? You don't want your job anymore?" Suyut scolded in annoyance. "No." The bodyguard immediately shut up. It's about time. Everyone's waiting for you at the hotel. Let's go, you. Lady Sue smiled gently. Before Suyu left, he looked back reluctantly. Huamin still didn't come. Huamin didn't come downstairs until the car was far away. Head nurse, young Master Su was discharged, Nan Nan said. That's a good thing, he's finally gone. Don't you feel a little sad? Nan Nan looked at Huamin in disbelief.